Chapter 8:17. The evil spirit's transformation not only allowed him to become bigger, but more importantly, it could become a long-range attack. But the difference between becoming bigger and smaller was not particularly big. His combat power would not increase just because he became bigger, but the effect would be extremely amazing when he massacred a city. But now he did not need to do this. He just wanted to suppress this group of trash with the most overbearing power. Sword. Tianyun waved his hand, and the evil spirit divine sword quickly became bigger. As a divine weapon, it was not difficult to become bigger. The same was true for the magic wand held by the other party. Both could become bigger and smaller, but there was a limit to how big or small it could become. After holding the huge, evil spirit divine sword tightly, Tianyun did not hesitate to slash at demon god Migo, and a black light burst out from his dark eyes. Flame explosion, evil spirits slash. The immortal fire immediately broke out to the extreme, released from the evil spirit divine sword, and at the same time, equipped with the desolate ancient set on his body, a faint yellow light burst out, superimposed on his body, and his combat power broke out in a straight line. 20 billion combat power, 30 billion combat power, 40 billion combat power, 70 billion combat power, 88 billion combat power. This time, his fierce attack reached 88 billion combat power, and the space was about to be crushed by his power. After facing so many opponents, finally, there was someone who could make him burst out most of his power. A long time ago, when his cultivation was at the first level of the Saint King stage, he could burst out almost 40 billion combat power, and now that he broke through to the 8th level of the Saint King stage, his combat power has doubled. If it were any other cultivator, it would be unimaginable. One must know that when the heavenly netherworld Holy King was at the peak of the Saint King stage, he only had 20 to 30 billion combat power, and now he had almost 90 billion combat power. This was all due to the eruption of his basic cultivation, coupled with the superimposition of the evil spirit's set, instantly surpassing demon god Mi-Ji's ordinary combat power. When Tianyun burst out his power, demon god Mi-Go was already vigilant, and he knew that the evil spirits that had become so huge must not be simple. But when the real attack came, he immediately felt a terrible sense of death, as if he was half a step into death, shaking heaven and earth. Demon god Migo didn't just sit there and wait for death. He waved his wand and smashed it forward with his 8 arms, causing the surrounding space to tremble. Space rippled like water and began to fluctuate layer by layer. Even though the space here was very stable, under this overbearing power, the world began to tremble. He did not use 8 weapons. He just gripped the wand tightly. One wand was enough. His battle power went from 50 billion to almost 80 billion in an instant. The sword and the staff collided in an instant. Boom! A terrifying force erupted from the center of their attacks and instantly slammed into the thick shield. Pa-pa-pa sounds of bombardment could be heard. It seemed like the shield would shatter at any time. The barrier here was not omnipotent. If it exceeded its limit, it would still explode. Even if it was a punishment, experts at the God King stage would be able to withstand the punishment. As for how strong they were to withstand it, it was unknown whether they had experienced it or not. The experts of the evil spirit race who were closer to the shield were all sent flying by this force. Even with the shield, there was still a terrifying force leaking out from inside. Those evil spirit races that were sent flying were actually severely injured, and some were even killed. The terrifying force made them gasp. They all ran far away, not daring to come any closer. If they were to get close, they would either be seriously injured or die. This scared them so much that they ran away in a hurry. How would they dare to come close? This power is too terrifying. Is that human really that strong? They were shocked. They thought that their old ancestor would suppress Tianyun with absolute power. Who knew that the power that erupted out now would make them feel terrified? After the explosion, the two huge figures were still standing there, but Tianyun was unscathed. Demon god Migo was severely injured. There were traces of fire on his body, and some parts of his body had even turned into desertification and started to dry up. After the first fierce clash, demon god Migo actually lost. This situation shocked them. The god that they worshipped the most lost to a human just like that, and it looked like he suffered a heavy loss. You haven't even broken through to the God King stage. How can you be so strong? Demon god Migo was scared out of his wits. He became like this because he was too hasty and wasn't prepared. After Tianyun grew bigger, he immediately grabbed the evil spirit's sword and slashed down without any hesitation. The whole process was completed in less than a second. If demon god Migo was prepared, he wouldn't be so miserable. Too much nonsense. Tianyun continued to swing the evil spirit sword and slashed forward, trying to cut demon god Migo into two. Another flame explosion, evil spirit's slash burst out, and a monstrous inextinguishable flame fell from the sky, sprinkling over the area, and everywhere it went was lit up by the inextinguishable flame. Ancient underworld divine power! Demon god Migo roared, and a blue divine light descended from the sky, enveloping his body. In the blink of an eye, the wounds on his body quickly healed, and his power began to increase rapidly, and layers of heavenly flame enveloped his body. An illusory figure began to appear behind him. It was completely in the form of a human, not the form of the evil spirit race. At the same time, a godly king's prestige was released, and gradually the shadow began to condense. The most obvious thing was that there was a flame on its forehead. This flame was undoubtedly the characteristic of the ancient underworld descendant, but the shadow that appeared was clearly not the ancient underworld descendant, but the power of the ancient underworld godly king. Unexpectedly, the ancient underworld godly king left his divine sense here, so that the elders could use his power to suppress everything. The ironic thing was that this power was not used to suppress the evil spirit race, but to suppress its own race. Most importantly, the user was from the evil spirit race. If the ancient underworld godly king was here, he would definitely vomit blood. With this power, not only did his injuries recover rapidly, his combat power also soared. 80 billion, 85 billion, 90 billion, 93 billion. Chapter 8:18. Stupid human race, do you think that's all we have? Too naive. This is just the beginning. Feel the power of the ancient underworld deity king. Immediately after, demon god Migo waved the magic wand in his hand, and the power of the phantom behind him quickly merged. With a swoosh, the heavenly fire burned to the extreme and swept over, trying to freeze everything. Evil spirit rampage, shake the heavens and earth. With the support of two powers, under the effect of evil spirit rampage, his own bloodline power immediately erupted, and once again increased his combat power from 93 billion to 98 billion, easily increasing his combat power by 5 billion. At this time, his combat power increased as if it didn't cost money. When one's cultivation was strong, he was so overbearing. The power that he casually erupted was far beyond the level of a lower cultivation. With a battle power of 98 billion, he fiercely smashed it into the air. Dong dong dong! It was as if he had knocked on an invisible shield, sending out layers and layers of vibrating power. Compared to the hurried counterattack before, the power had greatly increased, as if two different experts had displayed it. Tianyun's eyes narrowed. When the staff was about to smash down, he took out a pitch-black light ball and gently threw it forward. Then, a light enveloped him, forming a thick shield. This is? When demon god Migo saw this thing, he was shocked, but he continued to attack. Bang! The shield only shook a little, and cracks appeared on it, but it didn't shatter. Such an overbearing move actually didn't shatter the shield. It was unbelievably hard. Not only did it not shatter, but a terrifying power rebounded and sent demon god Migo flying. He almost lost his grip on the magic wand in his hand. At the moment when he was rebounded, a cold light flashed in Etienne's eyes, and the evil spirit divine sword in his hand exploded to the extreme. In an instant, it turned into a cold light and outlined a half-moon. There was also a blood dragon in it. It whizzed forward and pierced through demon god Migo's body. Flash moon. This time, he added the power of the dragon god bloodline, and his strength instantly increased by dozens of times, reaching a terrifying value. At the same time, his speed also exploded to the extreme. Before his opponent could react, the sword had already completed. Like a flash of moonlight, it entered the other party's body just like that. How did you get the heaven-devouring divine treasure? Demon god Migo was shocked. He recognized at a glance that it was the heaven-devouring divine treasure that had blocked his attack. This was their supreme treasure, yet it had landed in the hands of a human. What do you think? Etienne revealed a mocking expression. As for how he got it, let them guess. However, this point was very easy to guess. Only by dying would the heaven-devouring divine treasure fall into the hands of others, such an easy-to-understand question. Demon god Migo's body shook, and then it split into two halves, falling to the ground. Boom! It was as if a huge mountain had collapsed. With a loud bang, a huge pillar of blood shot out in all directions. A rain of blood fell from the sky, dyeing a large area red. The huge body had a lot of blood, and it quickly dyed the area red. Ding! Successfully killed demon god Migo. Reward: 91 billion EXP, 5 million crazy point, 250,000 SPS. Reward: Evil Spirit Wand, low-grade Divine Tool, Evil Spirit Bracelet, low-grade Divine Tool, Evil Spirit Ring, low-grade Divine Tool, Evil Spirit Bone, Evil Spirit Soul, Evil Spirit Blood. Ding! Congratulations to player Etienne for successfully breaking through to 9th layer Saint King stage. An explosive amount of experience. His base value had actually reached 500 million experience points. The moment Etienne killed demon god Migo, he immediately used a 100-fold EXP card and a 50-fold EXP card, plus 32 times the base value, reaching a terrifying 182 times the base value. Etienne knew that the EXP must be a lot, so he must exchange it for a 100-fold EXP card. Sure enough, the experience reward was quite shocking. It was almost 100 billion. Just thinking about it made him tremble. After using the heaven-devouring divine treasure, demon god Migo was easily suppressed. He didn't even need to use his full strength to kill demon god Migo. Although his combat power didn't exceed demon god Migo in the end, it doesn't mean that he can't kill demon god Migo. Combat power is just an evaluation, it doesn't mean that his attack can't hurt demon god Migo. It's like a child holding a knife can still kill a strong cultivator. The premise is that the strong cultivator won't resist, so he can still kill him with a knife. Etienne isn't a child, the gap between the two isn't very big. When he used the heaven-devouring divine treasure to reflect demon god Migo's attack, he immediately took advantage of the gap to counterattack. This is his plan. The result is obvious. He easily killed demon god Migo. A god king stage expert was also killed by him. Fortunately, he has a lot of equipment and crazy damage system, otherwise he would really be crushed. This kind of damage was too terrifying, it was almost as high as 100 billion combat power. 100 Saint King stage masters couldn't even suppress a single god king stage master. Lord Migo is dead, all of them were dumbfounded. They couldn't imagine that the god they worshipped would die just like that. Even with the power of the ancient Ming divine pagoda, Migo was still cut in half. After demon god Migo died, the flame brand quickly drilled into Etienne's arm and condensed into a flame brand on his arm. This means that he killed his way to the 8th floor in one go and also became an elder. He just came to the 7th floor not long ago, but he can already enter the 8th floor. This speed is simply terrifying. To achieve this goal, the price to pay is not small. If not for Tianyun's strength is a bit stronger, he will really die here. Judgment! Tianyun's eyes narrowed, and the 5 deacons in front of him were shrouded in the judgment shield before the 5 deacons came back to their senses. After becoming an elder, the scope of the judgment shield has increased, and the key is that the number of the judgment shield has been refreshed, and more people can be judged. A bunch of trash, go to hell! Tianyun raised the evil spirit divine sword and swung it at the 5 deacons. The 5 deacons didn't even have time to react before they were engulfed by the flame. They didn't even have time to scream before they turned into a pile of sand. Ding! Successfully killed me. Gained 23. 6 billion EXP, 250,000 crazy point, 15,000 SPS, obtained evil spirit blood, evil spirit soul, evil spirit bone. Obtained evil spirit divine sword, 50 times EXP card. Ding! Successfully killed me. Gained 24. 6 billion EXP, 280,000 crazy point. Ding! Successfully killed. The 5 deacons exploded a lot of experience, and with this amazing experience, Tianyun's level rose again. Chapter 8:19. In a short period of time, he had advanced 2 levels in a row, reaching the peak of the Saint King stage, and was only 1 step away from the God King stage. This was the reason why he decisively used the experience card. There were so many fat sheep here, how could he let them go? All 5 deacons were at least Saint King stage 8th or 9th layer, so after killing them, Yang Kai's EXP immediately skyrocketed. The result was obvious. It allowed him to level up easily. Over 100 billion experience points. If he still couldn't level up after all that, it would really be strange. Although it was difficult to advance to the late Saint King stage, it wasn't that difficult. Especially when it was stacked with hundreds of billions, leveling up would not be a problem. Finally successfully promoted to the peak Saint King stage? Tianyun was excited. As long as he took another step forward, he would be able to break through to the God King stage. Once he reached the God King stage, coupled with the crazy damage mode, even if the evil spirit race that was suppressed in the mortal world came out, he would still have the strength to fight. At the very least, he wouldn't be so helpless and defenseless. 500 billion to level up? What's going on? Tianyun was stunned when he saw the long string of zeros on the EXP bar. The first few stages required 10 billion Saint King stage cultivators. Even the 9th stage of the Saint King stage only required 100 billion Saint King stage cultivators. When preparing to break through to the God King stage, they would need 500 billion Saint King stage cultivators. Wasn't the experience required a little too much? It multiplied several times in one go. This reminded him of a normal cultivator's cultivation. At this level, it was extremely easy to get stuck at a bottleneck if one wanted to break through to the next realm. For Tianyun, this was not a bottleneck. He just had to slowly accumulate. As long as he reached a certain standard, he would be able to break through. It was just that the process was much more difficult than before. Judgment! Tianyun's eyes flashed. The light of judgment immediately enveloped the surrounding evil spirit race, picking the ones with the highest cultivation. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped 5 Saint King stage cultivators, and with another slash, 5 more corpses fell to the ground and quickly turned into a pile of sand. It was easily slashed down by the sword, and it turned into piles of experience that immediately filled him to the brim with close to 100 billion experience. Killing them was so refreshing, and the experience gained was also not low. This scene scared them so much that they all ran away, not daring to come any closer. However, Tianyun stopped and didn't continue to attack. It wasn't that he didn't want to kill them, but in his heart, he wanted to kill them all. However, he only had 10 trials. If he wanted a new trial, he would have to do it as early as next month. That way, he could also increase the number of trials. However, if he used up one flame brand at a time, he would basically fall from his position as an elder. This was obviously not worth it. Tianyun would never do such a thing. How terrifying! His cultivation is at the Divine King realm? What other explanation can there be? He killed old ancestor Mi Go. What treasure was that just now? It seems to be our heaven-devouring divine treasure. How did our heaven-devouring divine treasure fall into his hands? Yes, the heaven-devouring divine treasure should be in the hands of an ancestor in the mortal world. We can't go up and they can't come down. They all hid far away, but most of them knew why Tianyun didn't continue to attack. Since he had used up the number of trials, he definitely couldn't attack casually. They didn't think that Tianyun could resist the power of punishment. No one dared to try the suppressive power of the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda. Anyway, those who had tried were already dead. They, the elders, didn't dare to try it casually. Tianyun indeed didn't dare to try it casually. The power of the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda was very strong, and the power of punishment was not that easy to resist. Unless he broke through to the Divine King stage, he would try it. He glanced at the crowd and lifted his foot to go up to the 8th floor. There was no point in continuing to stay here. There was only one way to get rid of all these rubbish, and that was to become the Pagoda Master. As the Pagoda Master, he still couldn't drive people out at will, but he could change a lot of situations, especially in terms of rules. He had greatly increased the power of detecting the bloodline of the evil spirit race. Once he detected the bloodline of the evil spirit race, the result could be imagined. The ancient Ming Divine Pagoda would immediately send a terrifying heavenly punishment and sweep the evil spirit race out. When he stepped on the stairs to the 8th floor, he didn't even go up when he felt a terrifying aura coming from above. The extremely oppressive power was a little frightening. He could even smell a bloody smell coming from above. He could imagine that it was definitely a terrifying purgatory above. As he walked up step by step, he could smell the thick stench of blood assaulting his nostrils. The pressure here was not as strong. It wasn't like below, where there was a terrifying sense of pressure. It was as if a force of 1 trillion kilograms was pressing on one's shoulder, so much so that one couldn't even walk. On the contrary, it was all cleared up here, and he could easily climb up. It was no different from walking normally. Under such circumstances, he should be qualified to reach the 8th floor, so there was no need to go through this kind of training. To be exact, this kind of training was no longer necessary. Soon, he arrived at the 8th floor. What he saw was not a bloody hell. There was no trace of blood around. It looked clean and even beautiful. What appeared in front of him was a huge garden. There were no traces of blood or even half a corpse. When he just stepped on the 8th floor, a few murderous eyes pierced through him, as if they wanted to pierce through him completely. Tianyun looked up and saw 2 experts of the evil spirit race were soaking in the blood pool, looking at him coldly. The smell of blood wafted out from this blood pool. This thick blood was mixed with the blood essence of countless cultivators to fill this blood pool. The key was that this blood essence was definitely not ordinary blood essence. It was the blood essence of those cultivators with amazing talent or special bloodlines. He could even smell the blood essence of the Phoenix clan and the Dragon clan mixed in it. His eyes narrowed. The cultivation of the 2 experts of the evil spirit race was not beyond his expectation. They were at level 2 or level 3 of the God King stage. One of them was at level 3 and the other was at level 2. The one who went down to deal with him was the weakest one. He didn't expect there to be 3 God King stage experts here. If he went out, wouldn't he be in trouble? But they didn't go out, which made him very curious. It was very likely that they couldn't go out. The cultivation of the God King stage was very strong, but it didn't mean that they were invincible. The ancient Ming Divine Pagoda was specially designed to suppress them. Therefore, even if they broke through to the God King stage, they might not be able to go out. Chapter 8:20. There are many cultivators serving them here, all of them are from different races, obviously they have signed a slave contract. They are afraid of death, so they finally chose to become their dogs. Tianyun did not say much about their choice, everyone has their own choice. But sometimes they choose the wrong side, so it has nothing to do with him. None of the cultivators serving them had 8 flame imprint. Some of them only had 1 flame imprint. This is the privilege of elders. No matter how many flame brands they have, they can come in whenever they are summoned. This is like the imperial palace, ordinary people cannot come in, but if the emperor summons them, they can come in. These elders are like this, you can summon them to serve you. It is impossible to give them 8 flame brands in order to be served, right? Once you have 8 flame brands, you are already an elder, there is no other position to speak of. However, if one wanted to obtain 8 flame brands, they would have to kill many opponents with 7 flame brands. It was no longer as simple as killing 10 people. Instead, they would have to kill as many as 50 people. The 7th floor is full of evil spirit race, they will not kill each other, so the number of elders is fixed, that is, 3 people. Without the cultivation of God King, there is no way to become an elder. If you want to control this area, you must have the cultivation of God King. Even if you have 8 flame brands, you will still not become an elder. Meager that idiot, he is too careless, really annoying. Demon God Swote's tone is full of disdain, he does not feel sad because of his companion's death, instead, he feels a bit disdainful. The weak are never worthy of sympathy, dead is weak, even their companion is too lazy to care. In their opinion, it is stupid, so a human climbed to the 8th floor, to be on equal footing with them. Heaven-devouring divine treasure, your ability is not small, seems like you came from the mortal world. Seems like those old guys in the mortal world were killed by you? The other is Swote, he is the strongest existence, God King 3rd level. Their battle power is basically off the charts, among them, Swote's battle power is 68 billion, more than 10 billion more than Demon God Swote. This was the difference in cultivation. Advancing by 1 level would increase his battle power by more than 10 billion. It was the same for Suagu. His battle power had reached more than 80 billion, which was another 10 billion. Didn't this mean that the combat power of a peak God King stage expert had reached 1 or 200 billion? Tianyun could imagine the power that could destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth, suppressing a person with a flip of his hand. So what if I did, and so what if I didn't? Tianyun walked over fearlessly. The cultivators beside him looked at him, their eyes filled with surprise and admiration. Facing 2 terrifying demon gods, the only person who could remain so calm was this young man in front of them. It's nothing. I just feel that it's a little too useless for them to be killed just like that. Demon god Sog looked at him indifferently. His expression was so calm that he did not look angry at all. You think that just because you killed Demon God Mig, you have the qualifications to challenge us? Tianyun looked at them coldly and said, so what if I did, and so what if I didn't? Demon God Sog sat up and said indifferently, it seems that we haven't been out for a long time. Your 3 realms really think that you are invincible? If you have the ability, why don't you go out now? Tianyun said disdainfully, it seems that you can't go out at all. That's why you keep devouring the descendants of the ancient underworld God King to replenish your bloodline power. Controlling the ancient underworld divine pagoda is one thing. The key is to leave this place. It's a pity that you can save your own lives, but you can't leave this place. You are like dogs that are locked up here, waiting for death. Let me tell you something. No matter how much you devour the bloodline of the descendants of the ancient underworld God King, you can't leave this place. You will be suppressed here for the rest of your lives, and you won't be able to leave this place. Don't you think so? A bunch of fools who wanted to break in from the outside world, but got devoured by the ancient underworld divine pagoda. After coming here, he roughly knew what was going on. Their cultivations were so strong. Why didn't they go out to stir up trouble and control the three realms? To a large extent, it was because they couldn't leave this place. If they could leave, they could slowly control the ancient underworld divine pagoda. The problem was that they weren't hiding here, but they couldn't escape. They weren't the evil spirit race that was hiding in some corner. They were simply reinforcements that came from the outside world. It was just that they were immediately devoured by the ancient underworld divine pagoda. The strong ones couldn't be killed, so they could only choose to be sealed here. The ancient underworld divine pagoda wasn't invincible. It was very difficult to suppress a god-king cultivator. Even a high-grade divine artifact wouldn't be able to do so. It was already very good to be able to suppress it. It was unknown why they were able to leave and walk freely in this area. The ancient underworld divine kingdom was powerful, but how could they withstand the god-king evil spirit race that had been released? This made Tianyun's heart sink. It seemed that the evil spirit race had sent people to attack. It wasn't that they hadn't arrived, but that they had already arrived. However, if there was no news for a long time, it was very likely that they would send more experts over. Suo Ji's eyes were filled with killing intent. "Kid, it seems that you know a lot. Sometimes, it's not a good thing to know too much. But do you think that we can't deal with you?" "I don't doubt that you don't have a way to deal with me. Since you have a way to deal with me, then go ahead and challenge me. How about you challenge me like your demon god me go? I'm more than happy to fight with you." Tianyun sneered. He wasn't afraid at all. He was also an elder, so it was impossible for him to judge him. It was difficult to deal with two god-king cultivators, but if he only had to deal with one, he could still handle it. Although his combat power was a bit heaven-defying, it wasn't like he didn't have a chance. "Fight with you?" Suo waved his hand and said disdainfully, "Do you know what's the greatest pleasure of punishing someone? That's dying in the treasure of your own people." At this time, both of them stood up from the blood pool and quickly made a hand seal with their 8 arms. A ray of light quickly enveloped Tianyun and wrapped him tightly. Tianyun stretched out his hand and slapped it. Bang! It was as if he had slapped a thick iron block. Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, he disappeared and no one knew where he had been teleported to. Both of them sat back in the blood pool and said leisurely, "Let them carefully feel what it feels like to be sealed in this place." Chapter 8:21. Tianyun felt that he was being teleported to a strange place. He did not struggle when he was being teleported. It was easy to avoid this teleportation. He could just teleport away from the light wall. However, he did not choose to do so. He wanted to see where they wanted to teleport him to. As soon as he appeared, he felt a terrifying force coming from the sky. He quickly pulled out the evil spirit divine sword to block it. Boom! The terrifying force blasted him away. The overbearing force almost broke his wrist. The terrifying force was no less than a full blow from a level 1 god king. Because it was too sudden, his arm was almost broken. Although it was not broken, it was immediately covered with blood. It looked very terrifying. However, this was not the end. Another boom sound rang out, and a bolt of divine lightning struck down from the sky, wanting to strike him to death. Tianyun quickly threw out the heaven-devouring divine treasure and covered himself. At this time, a divine lightning struck down heavily on the shield. Boom! A faint crack appeared on the shield. It could still withstand it. But in the next moment, the divine lightning could not strike down. It was not that the heaven-devouring divine treasure's defense was too strong. It was just that the heaven-devouring divine treasure could block all detection. The divine lightning temporarily lost its target, so it could not strike down. How could it strike down when there was no one around? The heaven-devouring divine treasure was so heaven-defying. Otherwise, it would not be able to deceive the spiritual sense of a god king. It was also suitable here. It could deceive the divine lightning here, so it would not be attacked crazily. After a while, he quickly took out the longevity necklace and started to heal the injury on his arm. His recovery speed was already amazing. With the help of the longevity necklace, his recovery speed was even more amazing. In a short while, he had almost recovered. During the recovery, Tianyun looked around. The sky was filled with dark clouds. Terrifying divine lightning flashed above it. It seemed like it would strike down at any time. There were countless craters on the ground. Obviously, it was caused by the explosion caused by the divine lightning. There was a huge crater at the place where he had blocked. This was comparable to the power of an early god king. If he was a little weaker, he would have been turned into ashes. What a terrifying place. Looks like it should be an area specially used to kill evil spirit race. Tianyun narrowed his eyes and looked around. He wasn't really afraid. No wonder they said that the most refreshing thing was to be killed by the treasures of their own people. Wasn't this the place they were talking about? The ancient underworld divine king had nothing to do with him, but in theory they were both people of the three realms. It was originally used to kill the evil spirit race, but now it was used to kill him. Wasn't this putting the cart before the horse? When he looked off into the distance, he discovered that there was a figure sitting in meditation in a corner of a certain area. The figure was surrounded by divine marks, and was doing his best to defend against the endless bolts of lightning. Again and again, the man tried to resist, but it seemed like he couldn't hold on much longer. His whole body was covered in blood. He tossed out all sorts of treasures to block the heavenly lightning. There were many broken saint artifacts around him. Right now, he was wielding a divine artifact, and with the inscribed divine runes, he was able to withstand the heavenly lightning. Could he be Fan Shueshuan's father? The king of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom? Tianyun narrowed his eyes. Although the person in the distance was covered in blood, he could still clearly see the outline of his face. He hadn't seen Fan Shueshuan's father along the way. It was very likely that the person in front of him was Fan Shueshuan's father. The key was that he didn't look like a human, nor was he from the evil spirit race, which proved that he wasn't an enemy. He quickly flew over. Under the protection of the heaven-devouring divine treasure, he was able to block the heavenly lightning. It had to be said that this treasure was really powerful. It could even deceive a high-grade divine artifact. However, if he couldn't replenish his spiritual energy, he wouldn't be able to maintain the heaven-devouring divine treasure. Activating the heaven-devouring divine treasure now consumed an astonishing amount of spiritual energy. If he couldn't replenish it, he wouldn't be able to last for too long. At most, he could last for 10 days to half a month. Any longer and he wouldn't be able to do anything. Tianyun wasn't really invincible. Without spiritual energy replenishment, he would eventually be exhausted to death. Soon, he came to the person's side. The person also noticed the situation on Tianyun's side, but he couldn't divert his attention to talk to him, especially now that he was seriously injured. Tianyun looked at him up and down, and detailed data immediately appeared in front of him. Fan Hongda, Peak Saint King Stage Cultivation, has the bloodline of the ancient netherworld god king. There was no need to look at the information on this person. The first 2 paragraphs were enough. In any case, Tianyun didn't intend to fight with him. Don't resist. After Tianyun approached, he quickly waved the heaven-devouring divine treasure to cover Fan Hongda. Fan Hongda didn't resist and let the shield of the heaven-devouring divine treasure cover him. At the same time, he withstood a heavenly lightning. After that, not a single heavenly lightning fell from the sky. Don't talk, hurry up and restore your body. Tianyun motioned him to sit down and meditate to recover. Fan Hongda looked at Tianyun for a second, then immediately nodded and meditated to recover from his injuries. He was really seriously injured. If Tianyun was a little slower, he would have died here. Tianyun didn't stay idle. He released life force and combined it with the longevity set. The surging life force continuously drilled into Fan Hongda's body to help him recover from his injuries. Fan Hongda's eyelids twitched, but he didn't open his eyes and continued to recover from his injuries. With the help of this surging life force, his recovery ability was greatly improved. No matter why the life force was so strong, no matter how Yi Tianyun came in, as long as there was no hostility, it was fine. As time passed, after Fan Hongda recovered a little, he opened his eyes. Yi Tianyun opened his eyes at the same time, and the two of them looked at each other. "Thank you for your help, friend. It seems that you were also thrown into the heavenly lightning space by those beasts." Fan Hongda hurriedly said gratefully. "Heavenly lightning space," Yi Tianyun said with a smile. "I believe you are the ruler of the heavenly netherworld divine nation?" Fan Hongda was startled, then he frowned and said, "Friend, how did you see that?" He didn't deny it. Anyway, the two of them appeared in the heavenly lightning space, so they could be considered to have gone through thick and thin together. They even saved him previously. If it wasn't for Yi Tianyun, he would have definitely died if he had continued. He didn't think that Yi Tianyun was sent by the evil spirit race. After all, there was no point in this, and it was impossible to get any information out of him. Chapter 8:22. My daughter. Fan Hongda was stunned at first, then he grabbed Yi Tianyun and said in shock, "You've seen my daughter? Where did you see her?" He did not think that Yi Tianyun had captured his daughter. If he had, how could she still be here? He had only sensed danger. Then he realized that he had been too impulsive, so he slowly let go and said awkwardly, "I'm sorry, I was too nervous. Friend, where did you see my daughter? Was she in the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda or outside?" "Inside the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda," Yi Tianyun answered honestly. How could this be? Fan Hongda was stunned. He clenched his fists and said angrily, "What's going on? You promised to wait for my news. Why did you let Xiao Shui do this?" This was the territory of the evil spirit race. Entering casually was tantamount to courting death. Because she had waited for too long and thought that you had been killed in there. That's why she barged in to look for you. Yi Tianyun said indifferently, "Now, it's not just your daughter, but also your elders. They have all rushed in and are preparing to launch an all-out attack. They plan to start from the bottom, then move up layer by layer. They want to become the floor master of each floor." "How did you know?" Fan Hongda was surprised. "Did you discuss this with them?" Then Yi Tianyun roughly explained the situation. Fan Hongda was dumbfounded. What shocked him was not his daughter's plan, nor was it Yi Tianyun's true identity. What shocked him was that he had killed his way to the 8th floor in such a short time. This was the most unbelievable part. "Brother Yi, this is unbelievable. You actually killed your way to the 8th floor in such a short time." Fan Hongda said in shock. Even the elders who were originally here took a long time to rush up from below. "Monarch Fan, why exactly are you trapped here? Are you the same as me? Did you come directly to the 8th floor and then you were forced to come here?" Yi Tianyun said with a smile. Fan Hongda didn't expect Yi Tianyun to still be able to laugh at a time like this. Continuing to stay here was no different from dying. "No, when I first became the floor master of the 5th floor, I was forcefully sent here by them. Due to my uniqueness, they couldn't forcibly put me on trial. They could only choose to punish me and send me here by force. 2 elders can send anyone other than the pagoda master here for punishment." Fan Hongda felt very helpless. This was the rule that had always been set. 1 elder might not be able to make the decision, but 2 elders could forcefully send someone here. This meant that they could not allow one person to dominate. If anyone was unreasonable, they could forcefully send them in for punishment. "Do you know how to get out?" Yi Tianyun asked. "If I want to leave, I'll have to tear open the space here." Fan Hongda laughed bitterly. "I am simply unable to do this." When those fellows were locked in, many evil spirit races died. However, two powerful deity king-level evil spirit race forcibly tore open the space here and brought a group of companions out. At that time, we were all dumbfounded. This is the punishment space. How could it be torn open? It can only be said that their ability is beyond the imagination of our ancestors. So powerful that even the area set up by the ancient underworld deity king was torn open? Tianyun squinted his eyes. This was indeed a bit unexpected, but also reasonable. The evil spirit race came from the outside world, and they all had terrifying martial arts and all kinds of amazing treasures. It was not surprising that they could forcibly tear open the space here. The heaven-creating divine king and the others were very powerful, but it did not mean that they were absolutely invincible. Therefore, it was not a problem for someone to break their defense. That's right. Fortunately, after they came out, they were restricted by the rules and could not carry out a crazy slaughter, but they could devour us bit by bit. We were forced to escape from here, or else we would be the ones dying in the end. Fan Hongda shook his head and sighed. We really wasted the things left by our ancestors. Not only did we fail to suppress them, but we also fell into a difficult situation. When they came out, they were not suppressed by the ancient underworld divine pagoda. Tianyun frowned. This was the most important point. Of course they were suppressed. The evil spirit race that came out was suppressed one after another. They were either thrown back into the sky thunder space or killed by the sky thunder directly. However, many of them were saved. Those guys have the thing in your hand that can resist the sky thunder. They followed them to devour our people, and then the ancient underworld divine pagoda did not attack them. Fan Hongda said. It's the bloodline. Tianyun said in a deep voice. After they devour the bloodline, they will turn it into their own, and they can deceive the ancient underworld divine pagoda. The ancient underworld divine pagoda does not have a weapon spirit, so it can only be in a passive state. Yes, it's the bloodline. We knew this before, but we did not expect it to be so powerful. As long as it touches a little, the ancient underworld divine pagoda will not be able to attack, and it will treat you as one of its own. Fan Hongda sighed. It's useless to say anything now. We can't tear open this space to get out. The original exit has long been repaired, so we can only stay here. It's all right, I will bring you out, Tianyun said with a faint smile. You can get out, but the seal here. Fan Hongda could see from Tianyun's eyes that he was full of confidence, which meant that this was not a problem at all. That is not a problem. The problem is how to take back the entire ancient underworld divine pagoda after we get out. That is the key. Otherwise, even if we escape, it will be meaningless. Even if I become an elder, I will not be able to forcefully fight with them. Tianyun shook his head. The rules were so disgusting. He was an elder, but if he wanted to challenge these elders, they could refuse to fight. At that time, they would forcefully teleport them back into the sky thunder space. It was simply too disgusting. There is a way. Fan Hongda said in a deep voice. This kind of punishment cannot be used immediately. It will take some time before it can be used again. After we get out, you can bring me to the Pagoda Master region on the 8th level and forcefully take the Pagoda Master test. If I pass, then I will become the new Pagoda Master, and I will be able to mobilize the power here to get rid of them. Tianyun's eyes lit up. This was exactly what he needed. But you don't seem to have reached the level of an elder. Can you take the test? Tianyun looked at the flame brand on his arm. He did not even have 8 flame brands. Clearly, he did not meet the standard. This is not a problem. As long as I release the flame brands that I have stored, it will be enough. Fan Hongda gently waved his hand, and a flame immediately appeared on his forehead. Then, a flame brand started to appear on his arm, filling up to 8 in one go. Chapter 8:23. Tianyun saw him easily fill the 8 flames, which meant that Fan Hongda had become an elder. Obviously, he wanted to keep a low profile, but who knew he would still be caught? To become a floor master, how could he keep a low profile? He would definitely be caught. If that's the case, wouldn't we be two elders? Etionyan smiled and said, "Can we throw them in here?" Fan Hongda's eyes lit up and said in surprise, "I almost forgot, this is not a problem. As long as there are two elders, we can forcefully throw one of them in here. Maybe we can't kill them, but at least we can trap one of them. Even if they recover, they won't be able to punish us." "Very good, let them experience the feeling of this place and familiarize themselves with it." Etionyan smiled. "The problem is, how do we get out now?" Fan Hongda was a little embarrassed. He thought about it, but he didn't know how Etionyan did it. "Very simple." Etionyan grabbed him by the shoulder, and before he could react, they have already disappeared in the same place. At the same time, in the 8th floor, Demon God Sot and the rest were still soaking in the blood pool, tasting the meat that was just sent over. These were all processed meat, not as casually as the 7th floor. Not only were they processed, but they were also concocted, as if they were tasting delicacies. In their eyes, these cultivators were all food. This was the same as cultivators looking at demonic beasts. They were all food that could fill their stomachs and increase their strength. The strong preyed on the weak. It was displayed to the fullest here. It could only be said that the world with weak cultivation would eventually be ruled by them. "I wonder if that kid was struck to death by the lightning?" Demon God Sot ate a mouthful of meat, and even took out a handkerchief to wipe his mouth. He seemed to pay attention to etiquette. Even if he didn't die, he should be close to it. It's a pity that the heaven-devouring treasure, such a good treasure, was left in the heaven-lightning space. Demon God Sot shook his head in pity. "I originally came to occupy the 3 realms, but now I'm trapped here. I don't know when I can get out. There's no other way. We can only say that our bloodline power is too strong. If we go out, we will be immediately sensed. When the time comes, I'll be forced in again. I really can't help it." Demon God Sog said helplessly, "I can only say that we can only leave after we control the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda. It seems like we can only forcefully send those brats out so that they can pave the way for us. Who knew that the ones I sent out would be destroyed so quickly? What a bunch of trash." Demon God Soder was extremely displeased. "We wasted so much of our energy to send them out. Who knew that they would die outside? What a bunch of trash. We can only say that we underestimated the 3 realms' power." Demon God Sog swirled the cup in his hand. After drinking a mouthful of red blood essence, he said indifferently, however, "This is only a matter of time. I can feel that Sir Seer will come out very soon. When he descends, everything will be over." "Lord Sire!" Demon God Soth's eyes lit up, his eyes filled with worship. He turned to look at Demon God Sog and said, "Speaking of which, we have been gone for so long. I believe that the evil spirit star field will continue to send companions over, right?" "Definitely. This is a good place that we know. If we occupy this place, it will be easy to expand." Demon God Sog said indifferently, however, "When they come here, they will definitely laugh at us. After spending so much time, we can't even conquer a mere 3 realms. We even lost so many companions. We have underestimated the 3 realms. Who knew that they would be so strong?" Demon God Soder was very helpless and angry. They felt very helpless. They had greatly underestimated the 3 realms' power, causing them to suffer a great loss. After chatting, they continued to leisurely enjoy the food, as if they were just casually idling around. They did not cultivate. They just soaked in the blood pool and ate the food that was sent over. This was actually equivalent to cultivating. Regardless of whether it was the food or the blood pool, there was dense spiritual energy constantly being absorbed into their bodies, slowly increasing their power. However, their cultivation was too strong. If they wanted to break through, they would need a very long time. "The two of you, long time no see. You seem to be chatting happily?" At this moment, 2 figures appeared at the side, giving them a fright. They jumped out of the blood pool and stared at the two figures with their eyes wide open. They felt that it was very inconceivable. How could the two of you come out? They were all stunned. However, they quickly calmed down and sized up the two figures. From their bodies, they did not look like they were struck by lightning. They did not have any injuries at all. It was as if they just took a stroll in the sky lightning dimension. Nothing is impossible. Now, the two of us will send you in to play for a while. Tianyun and Fan Hongda looked at each other and quickly formed hand seals. The 8 flame imprints in their hands immediately flew up and a pillar of light enveloped Demon God Sog. Demon God Sog's cultivation was the strongest. Thus, he was the first to be sent in. Even if he did not die, he would at least be sent away with the strongest battle power. How could this be? You actually have 8 flame imprints as well? This is impossible. Demon God Sog shouted. However, before anyone could reply, he was already teleported away and disappeared from this region. Demon God Sog was also teleported into the sky lightning dimension to endure the terrifying sky punishment. How did the two of you come out? Demon God Sog looked at them coldly. However, he knew that he was helpless. He could not do anything. If he forcefully attacked, he would be punished. Although he would not die, he would not feel good. Furthermore, he would continue to be struck. Because they had all tried, that was why they knew. Tianyun and Fan Hongda could not be bothered with Demon God Sog. They turned around and walked forward. The two of you want to go to the Pagoda Master Altar. Demon God Sog intercepted them. However, it was useless. This place was so spacious. They could casually run in that direction. Moreover, they could only use their bodies to block. They could not attack. It was the same as not intercepting them. Idiot! Try attacking me if you have the ability. Tianyun pointed at himself and mocked. Weren't you very arrogant just now? If you have the ability, hit me here. Tianyun pointed at his head and signaled Demon God Sog to hit him. Demon God Sog roared in anger. He swung his fist and wanted to smash it towards Tianyun. However, he did not dare to. However, he rolled his eyes and quickly rushed towards the Pagoda Master Altar. Very quickly, they all ran to the side of the Pagoda Master Altar. The Pagoda Master Altar was very simple. It was just a huge teleportation formation. After Fan Hongda stepped in, he quickly shouted, I want to accept the Pagoda Master's test. The next moment, he disappeared. Demon God Sog also rushed in and shouted, I want to accept the Pagoda Master's test. Then he also disappeared. He had the bloodline of ancient underworld god king's descendant. It was not surprising that he could enter. Now only Tianyun was outside. He felt very helpless. Doesn't this mean that he would not have the chance to make a move? He followed in and shouted, I also want to accept the Pagoda Master's test. Buzz! Chapter 8:24. I haven't been here for a long time. After Fan Hongda walked out of the teleportation formation, he looked at his surroundings and took a deep breath. He felt that it was so familiar. After so many years, he really missed it. Following closely, Demon God Soto walked out of the teleportation formation and hurriedly followed. You're really scheming, coming here to take the Pagoda Master exam right after coming out. Do you think I'll let you succeed? The Pagoda Master exam had a series of tests. There was no lack of battles between two people. The difference in their cultivation was huge. If they faced each other head-on, Fan Hongda would definitely lose. When Fan Hongda saw Demon God Soto walk in, his expression instantly changed. However, he quickly regained his composure. Is that so? I hope you can make it to the last step first. The Pagoda Master exam definitely wouldn't start with a fight. There would definitely be layers of tests. Even if there was only one person left in the end, he would still need to continue the test. It wasn't like becoming the Pagoda Master without any opponent. If it was so easy to become the Pagoda Master, Fan Hongda would have become the Pagoda Master long ago. Why wait until now? Even now, he might not have the confidence to become the pagoda master. He could only stake it all and see if he could become the pagoda master. If he couldn't become the pagoda master, they could still stay here. With two elders, they didn't fear demon god Soto. When they were about to enter, the teleportation formation suddenly flashed. A figure followed from behind. Soto, you're back? Demon god Soto thought that it was demon god Soto who returned. He wondered if it was too fast. Fan Hongda's heart sank. Demon god Soto was already hard to deal with. Now that there was demon god Soto, wouldn't it be even harder? The key was that they just sent demon god Soto into the sky lightning space. In the blink of an eye, he came out. Wasn't this a bit too fast? However, thinking back to how Tianyun easily brought him out, could it be that demon god Soto also easily came out? Previously, when Tianyun easily brought him out, he didn't even ask what was going on. Everyone had their own abilities. It was impossible to say everything. When they saw the person who walked out, even though it was clearly an enemy, they shouted in unison, "It's you?" The person who walked out wasn't demon god Soto, but Tianyun. He was also teleported in. Not only were they shocked, even Tianyun himself was surprised. He was just bored, so he walked in and casually shouted. Who knew that it would really work, and he was teleported in just like that? Yes, it's me. Tianyun grinned. He was very satisfied with this result. He didn't like waiting outside, especially when demon god Soter was inside. If he could kill him, it wouldn't be a waste. How did you get in? Swote was dumbfounded. The conditions to enter were simple. One needed to have the bloodline of the ancient underworld godly king's descendant and have 8 flame marks. It was true that Tianyun had obtained 8 fire marks, but he should not have been able to enter without the bloodline of the ancient underworld godly king's descendant. But he just had to appear in front of them, causing them to be dumbfounded. It was simply a little unbelievable. What does that have to do with you? Tianyun sneered and ignored Soter. Demon god Soter was startled, and immediately said angrily, "Very good. It doesn't matter if there are more of you, it just so happens that I can kill both of you at the same time. Do you really think that we can't do anything to you?" Usually, demon god Soter was a high and mighty existence, but now the other party didn't care at all, which made him very angry. Is that so? Come at me if you have the ability. Tianyun wasn't talking nonsense. He wasn't afraid of demon god Soter at all. His cultivation had reached the peak of the Saint King stage, and combined with his various powers, he wasn't afraid of the other party. At this time, Fan Hongda came to Tianyun's side and began to ask, "How can you come in? Do you have the bloodline of an ancestor?" "How can I have the bloodline of the ancient underworld godly king? It's very likely that I have the bloodline of the King of the Heavens, that's why I can come in here. After all, this place was created by the King of the Heavens, and it's possible that your ancestor also allowed the descendants of the King of the Heavens to come in, and even the descendants of the heaven-creating divine king." This was the only reason he could think of now, and it was very plausible. They didn't know what the 3 god kings had set up. Anyway, Tianyun didn't have the bloodline of the ancient underworld godly king, only the bloodline of the King of the Heavens. That should be the case. Fan Hongda nodded and didn't continue to ask. Anyway, they were all on the same side, and the more the better. Immediately after, he began to explain the general content of the test once again. The two of them walked forward at a moderate pace, and on the surface, they seemed to be walking side by side, without saying a word. In fact, they were constantly talking to each other, and they roughly explained the content of the assessment. Demon God Soter, who was on the side, said discontentedly, "Hurry up, don't talk nonsense here, hurry up!" He wanted to walk forward, but it was meaningless to walk fast, because he couldn't become a tower master. They couldn't pass the assessment just because of their bloodline, otherwise they would have become tower masters long ago. With their power, how could they not become tower masters? If you want to take the assessment, hurry up and get over there. Don't talk nonsense here. Tianyun looked at him coldly. Demon God Soder clenched his fists and said angrily with bloodshot eyes, "Brat, I hope I meet you later. I'll let you die a horrible death. I'll eat you bit by bit and let you taste endless pain. Don't worry, we'll see who eats who," Tianyun replied, and then ignored him. They walked forward, and then a long corridor appeared. The walls were very smooth, and there didn't seem to be any problems. When they stepped forward, it was like entering a special space, and ripples came from all around. Then Tianyun couldn't see Fan Hongda and Demon God Soder anymore. What appeared in front of him wasn't the corridor, but an endless desert. It's not an illusion. After entering, Tianyun felt that the sand under his feet was very soft, and the surrounding temperature was rising. He could clearly feel that this wasn't an illusion. This was a real small world. Fan Hongda had explained to him that this corridor was called the hallucinatory corridor. If he wanted to go forward, he had to pass through 5 worlds. Only by passing through 5 worlds could he reach the other side of the corridor. Chapter 825. This place is really barren. I can't find the right direction at all. Tianyun looked around. The biggest difficulty here was that it was all sand and there was no way to guide him. What he needed now was to walk out of this world. That would be a small part of his success. When he continued to move forward, he suddenly felt a pulling force beneath his feet, quickly dragging him down. Tianyun's feet flashed lightly, and he quickly moved forward. At this time, he looked back and saw that the desert was pulling him, and it will continue to pull him into it, and eventually, he will be completely swallowed by it. Of course, after being swallowed, there would be no danger at all. However, he would not be able to participate in this assessment. If he wanted to participate again, he would have to wait until next year. Immediately, he moved forward. Flying was not feasible here, but running like crazy was not a problem. He flew like crazy. No matter how the sand under his feet swallowed, it could not swallow him at all. His speed was simply too fast. The engulfing desert couldn't do any damage to him at all. As he moved forward, a lot of sand surged up from the ground. It turned into sharp arrows and pierced towards him, trying to turn him into a sieve. It was not difficult for him. He just moved forward quickly and dodged the arrows easily. With such a shocking speed, unless Tianyun deliberately attacked him, he could easily dodge the arrows. The exit should be in front. Tianyun squinted his eyes. Fan Hongda had told him the general situation. The exit was always changing. If he wanted to find it, he would have to rely on his own ability. If he did not even have this ability, it would be impossible for him to become the pagoda master. Obviously, there was no problem with Tianyun. He had locked on to the exit from the beginning. With his appraisal eye, there was nothing that could not be seen by him. "I'm here!" Tianyun rushed out in one breath. With a wave of ripples, he reappeared in the corridor. The place he was at now happened to be in the hallucinatory corridor from before. He was a few dozen meters ahead. Wow, I have only advanced a few dozen meters through a whole small world. Tianyun shook his head. He had to admit that their design was quite ingenious. Not only could they test the Tower Master, but they could also defend against intruders. Just as he was about to leave, a figure appeared beside him. It was Fan Hongda. When Fan Hongda saw Tianyun standing there, he was shocked. "You're already here?" He was shocked. He was very familiar with this place. After all, he had tried it several times. It was Tianyun's first time coming in, but the speed at which he came out was even faster than him. "Yes, it's not that difficult. It's just a little troublesome." Tianyun smiled. Fan Hongda looked at him and silently cursed him in his heart. Demon God Soder was the last to come out. When he saw the two of them chatting side by side, he was stunned for a moment. Then, he snorted coldly and quickly rushed forward to enter the next world. However, he was extremely shocked. It was fine if Fan Hongda was faster than him, but he didn't expect the newcomer to be faster than him. It was unbelievable. He felt very humiliated. He was a demon god, but he couldn't compare to a newcomer. He had also tried many times, even more than Fan Hongda. But now, he lost to Yi Tianyun. How could he not feel humiliated? Although it was just a small test, he still felt very humiliated. He didn't have the face to stay here anymore. He quickly left. Okay, let's continue. Yi Tianyun and Fan Hongda nodded and continued forward. They instantly disappeared in this space. After entering, the first thing that came into view was an area filled with seawater. There was seawater everywhere, stretching as far as the eye could see. This environment was like changing a desert to seawater. The worst thing was that they couldn't fly. They could only swim forward bit by bit. They hadn't been swimming for long when a terrifying suction came from below, trying to pull them in. Yi Tianyun reached out and slapped. He flew up and floated on the water. He didn't even need to swim in the water. He quickly ran forward. As long as he was fast enough, floating on water was not difficult at all. In this state, he quickly rushed out of the water world and successfully passed through this world. After leaving, he moved forward a few dozen meters like before. This time, he didn't hesitate and stepped into the next world. Following that, he saw sharp blades all over the place, each of them exuding a chilly aura. As soon as he entered, countless sharp swords shot at him, trying to turn him into a sieve. It was earth and water before. Now it's metal? Yi Tianyun's eyes glanced and quickly dodged to the front, easily avoiding the attack. If one looked carefully, the environment here wasn't hard to understand. They all followed the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Fan Hongda had mentioned 5 worlds before. Now, it seemed that it was true. They still followed the 5 elements to advance. They used different elements to attack. It depended on whether one could dodge these fierce attacks. It's just that it's not that difficult, especially for Yi Tianyun, it's too easy. He just needed to charge forward at an astonishing speed. There was no difficulty. After following him through this world, he entered the next world. It was just as he had imagined. It was a world of fire. After stepping out of the final world of wood, a spacious hall came into view. What appeared in front of him was an incomparably huge and glossy wall. Apart from that, there were no other entrances. He didn't know where to go. There wasn't even an exit behind him. After he walked out, the corridor behind him disappeared. In its place was a thick wall. What is he playing at this time? Yi Tianyun walked forward. Fan Hongda didn't explain the situation here. He only explained the 5 worlds. After all, he had to pass through the 5 worlds first. He could talk about the later ones later. If he didn't pass the first one, it was useless to talk about the later ones. When he got close to the wall, a ray of light quickly appeared around him and enveloped him, enveloping the place. It looked like a challenge outside. A shield would appear. Didn't it mean that there was going to be a big battle? Why did you go in? After Fan Hongda successfully passed the first level, he came out. When he saw Yi Tianyun standing there, he was stunned. Chapter 8:26. Yi Tianyun saw Fan Hongda's shocked expression. I didn't do anything wrong, did I? There was only a wall around them. Apart from a few weapons on the side, there was nothing else. There were basically all kinds of weapons, such as swords, spears, and so on. They looked very ordinary, very low-grade weapons, only common iron grade. It was really shocking to see a common iron weapon here. What's going on? Yi Tianyun asked. Haha, idiot. You walked in so quickly and didn't even take a weapon. How are you going to break through this wall? Demon God Soder also came out smoothly. After coming out, he saw Yi Tianyun and the others were faster than him. He was very unconvinced. When he saw Yi Tianyun walk up to the smooth wall without a weapon, he immediately laughed, tears almost coming out of his eyes. You need a weapon to break through? Yi Tianyun frowned and said, What kind of rule is this? Smashing the wall with scrap copper and iron? Brother E, this is the rule. If you want to use those weapons to smash the wall, not only do you need to break the wall, but you also can't break the weapon. If the weapon is broken, you will be disqualified. Fan Hongda smiled bitterly. You don't even have a weapon. If you walk out, it means you admit defeat and are disqualified. After Fan Hongda explained, Yi Tianyun understood what was going on. So weapons were needed. He noticed the scrap metal when he first came in, but who would have thought there was such a rule? More importantly, they were outside the competition area, and there were no rules. Wasn't this a trap? Now you're stupid, right? What an idiot. Are you humans so stupid? If those things were just for decoration, why did you put them there? Demon God Soder laughed. Since he couldn't beat people up, he could only choose to mock Yi Tianyun and piss him off. You need weapons to break this wall? Can't you use your fists? Yi Tianyun said indifferently. Both of them were startled. Then, Demon God Soth laughed and said, You idiot! If you could use your fists, why would you be given so many weapons to choose from? You're really an idiot. Boom! Yi Tianyun swung his fist and smashed it against the wall. With a loud bang, the wall was immediately penetrated by his fist. As the wall collapsed, an entrance appeared in front of him. Fan Hongda and the demon god Soder were dumbfounded. They didn't think that they could really smash it open. They had always thought that weapons were used to smash open the door. They didn't expect that it could be smashed open with fists. The question was this considered a success? If he could succeed, what would the weapons on the side be used for? All this time, they had been using weapons to break open the wall. If the weapon was damaged, it would be equivalent to failure. Now, Yi Tianyun was not using a weapon, but his fists. In their opinion, they were bound to fail. Even if they destroyed the wall, it wouldn't be considered a success. However, Yi Tianyun wasn't teleported out. Instead, a beam of light shrouded him from the sky and branded a faint flame mark on his forehead. It was as if he had received some inheritance. Yi Tianyun felt a surge of power flowing into his body. It was more of an inheritance power. At this moment, he felt that he had some connection with the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda. I'm sorry, these weapons are indeed just decorations. You used your weapons to smash open the wall, so you've indeed succeeded. However, it only proves that you're too inflexible and don't know how to break the rules. This kind of person can't become the pagoda master. Yi Tianyun looked at them and said, Evil spirit race idiots, what do you think? Demon God Soth's face turned green and white. However, his face was black and he couldn't see any expression, but he was extremely embarrassed. He didn't expect that the other party had not only succeeded, but he had also received a strange recognition. This was something they had never seen before. There's such a thing. Fan Hongda was dumbfounded. He had never heard of such a situation before. Now, he had seen it for himself. It seemed that these tests that the ancient Ming Divine King had created were not to test their accuracy, but to see if they would follow the rules too much. A truly good pagoda master couldn't be too inflexible and follow the rules that the ancient Ming Divine King had left behind. The rules that the ancient Ming Divine King had left behind were just his thoughts at the time. It could still be more perfect. Therefore, he needed a pagoda master who knew how to be more perfect and flexible. That was why he had created such a deceptive test. Why did he have to smash the wall with ordinary metal? He could just use his fist. He didn't need any other weapons. It could even be said that if he used his own weapon to smash the wall, it would probably be judged as a success. Sua Demon God didn't know how to refute Yi Tianyun's scolding. He had scolded Yi Tianyun before, but now he felt like he had been slapped in the face by Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun had accidentally done this. He had been too focused on studying the wall that he had neglected other things. I'll make a move first. Yi Tianyun turned around and walked into the cave, quickly disappearing inside. But this time, the wall didn't recover. It didn't recover like before. Instead, it maintained the signs of damage. Fan Hongda didn't think much and hurriedly followed. Demon God Soth also followed. Soon, the two of them caught up. They didn't need to go through the test, so they could easily catch up. Brother E, it's really amazing that you managed to think of this, Fan Hongda said sincerely. It's nothing. It's just luck. Tianyun smiled. That's right, it's just some stupid luck. It's just a fluke. I hope you can maintain this luck in the future. Demon God Soth sneered. Or should I say, if you run into me, all that luck is bullsh**. Tianyun glanced at him indifferently. He didn't bother to pay attention to him, and continued to walk forward with Fan Hongda. Demon God Soth was exasperated. He didn't expect Tianyun to ignore him and not take him seriously. He was furious, but he had no other choice. If he could beat someone up, he would do it right here and now. As they passed through the long passageway, they saw a mirror. The moment they walked in, they could clearly see themselves in the mirror. The entire area was a mirror. What's with this round? Are you trying to see who's more handsome? Tianyun turned to look at Demon God Soth. Looks like you're going to lose? Bullsh**. Demon God Soth said angrily. You humans are the ugly ones. With your disgusting looks, you're worse than trash. Chapter 8:27. Fan Hongda couldn't help but laugh when he heard Tianyun calling Sua Demon God ugly. Fan Hongda couldn't help but laugh at Tianyun's audacity. This was a divine king powerhouse. When he was enraged, it could be said to destroy the world. Tianyun ignored him and kept on insulting him. Sometimes, words were like a sharp blade, stabbing into the enemy's heart. Enraging them would easily make them lose their composure. Most importantly, a godly king like Swot was so easily angered. His Tao heart wasn't strong enough, so he was easily influenced. Swot's cultivation environment was too good. Here, they had to climb step by step. It was hard for their Tao heart to not be firm. The faster they broke through, the more unstable their Tao heart would be. However, Tianyun is an exception. His cultivation breakthrough is fast, but he has also experienced a lot of things. He is not a young master who always hides at home. Is that so? Ancient underworld god king is an expert of the three realms. His aesthetic standards are different from yours. Tianyun said with a contemptuous smile. I don't want to talk to you. This isn't a competition of looks, idiot. Soon after, Demon God Soder's eyes suddenly lit up. After thinking of something, he immediately charged forward and heavily punched the mirror. Boom! A terrifying force bounced back from the mirror and sent him flying. But his body was strong. The power wasn't bad, but it didn't do much damage to him. What's going on? I can't break the mirror? Swot froze. Looks like you want to try breaking the rules and shattering the mirror like I did before? Tianyun shook his head and said, I told you, it's just luck. But you don't even have luck, it's a pity that you failed. Swot's face paled. He really wanted to be like Tianyun and break the rules. As long as they are not blind, they know that the mark Tianyun just obtained is definitely very useful. This was the key to becoming the pagoda master. Demon God Soder snorted coldly and retorted, Fine, you have what it takes. I hope you won't meet me later, but that's impossible. Meeting me will be the end of your luck. At that time, I hope you can still talk fast. After saying that, Demon God Soder walked forward and placed his hand on the surface of the mirror. Then, he disappeared. Let's go. This battle is relatively simple. We just have to fight ourselves. Fan Hongda arrived in front of the mirror and placed his hand on it. Then, just like Demon God Soth, he quickly disappeared into the mirror. Tianyun also came to the front of the mirror and put his hand on it. Then, he disappeared into the mirror as if he was sucked in. After entering, it was as if he had entered a special space. He was surrounded by himself, and he did not know where he would appear from to fight. Fighting against myself. It's the same old trick again. As soon as he finished speaking, 4 figures suddenly rushed out from the mirrors in all directions. Without hesitation, they raised their fists and smashed over. Each of Etienne cultivation was at the peak of Saint King's stage. Etienne thought that there would be only one of him, but he didn't expect that there would be 4 of him. Sure enough, the Tower Master's assessment isn't easy. 4 Saint King's stage cultivators appeared at the same time. Etienne turned his head and found that the speed of the 4 himself rushing towards him is too slow. They are too slow compared to his current self. They are not even on the same level as him. Immediately, he found the problem. These him couldn't successfully simulate his own equipment, let alone various martial arts. They just simulated their cultivation and combined it with ancient underworld god kings' martial arts and so on. If they couldn't simulate their equipment, then they were just a pile of garbage in front of him. Get lost. Etienne kicked them away. One by one, they hit the crystal wall and broke into countless light spots that disappeared in the air. Ding, successfully killed the mirror image. Got 3,200 EXP, 500 crazy point. Ding, successfully killed the mirror image. Got 3,200 EXP, 500 crazy point. Ding, successfully killed the mirror image. Etienne was immediately dumbfounded when he saw the EXP. These were all Saint King's stage cultivators. How could they give such garbage EXP? Only 100 EXP. It's almost the same as the ordinary demon beasts he killed a long time ago. He even stacked 32 times EXP, but in the end, he only got 100 EXP. It's disgusting. Fortunately, he didn't use the EXP card, otherwise, he would have lost a lot of money. After easily dealing with them, 4 more figures appeared in the surroundings and attacked him again. Again? Etienne was stunned for a moment, and then he immediately kicked out again, and a group of himself was kicked out, and once again they were easily kicked out. The EXP he got was still 100 points. What's going on? Why are you still here? Etienne frowned. He didn't know what the assessment was. When he thought it was over, 4 himself appeared on the mirror again. Then they rushed up again and started another round of battle. It was just that this battle had ended with a single kick, and they had been easily trampled to death. After several rounds, about a quarter of an hour later, the himself who was going to attack him suddenly disappeared. Instead, a light shrouded him and branded a mark on his forehead. Again? Etienne felt strange. He didn't know what the standard was. There was no explanation at all. He had to explore it by himself. He immediately walked out. After he went out, Fan Hongda and the others also came out, but the problem was that they didn't have a flame mark on their foreheads. Fan Hongda originally had a flame mark, but it was different from Etienne's, so he didn't get it. Not to mention Demon God Swote, there was no trace of it at all. Brother E, did you get the flame mark again? Fan Hongda was surprised when he saw the mark on Etienne's forehead deepened. You didn't get it? Etienne was confused. No, it would be great if I could get it. Fan Hongda shook his head and sighed. Then what's your situation? You didn't defeat your opponent? Etienne asked. Yes, I defeated 2 rounds, but I still couldn't get it. Fan Hongda shook his head. Defeated 2 rounds? Etienne frowned. Does it have something to do with the number of defeats? Then how many rounds did you defeat? Fan Hongda asked curiously. I think more than 5 or 6. Etienne couldn't remember. Chapter 828. In order to obtain the recognition of the Pagoda Master's imprint, one would need to go through many rounds. No wonder everyone came out after a quarter of an hour. Within a quarter of an hour, one would need to defeat many rounds of himself. This number could be 4 rounds or it could be 5. In any case, Etienne obtained it. Fan Hongda could only defeat himself twice, which was a pretty good result. Facing 4 himself was not a small task. Demon God Swote did not have an imprint, which meant that it would be equally difficult to deal with 4 of him. He could also imitate the cultivation of a god king. Don't underestimate the high-grade divine tool created by the 3 god kings. Fortunately, demon god Swote's cultivation was not very high. Otherwise, he would not be able to imitate it. The ancient Ming god pagoda could not imitate such a powerful phantom. It might allow him to pass directly or imitate the peak cultivation. At the very least, demon god Swote could not defeat himself, or perhaps he could only defeat himself 2 or 3 rounds. He did not say anything. If he said anything, it would only make him lose face. Soon after, the 3 of them passed and continued forward. After walking into the corridor, the surroundings immediately changed. It turned into a surging heavenly fire. It burned crazily at the side, as if to intimidate the cultivators who came. Be careful, don't fall down here. Otherwise, you will definitely be burned by the heavenly fire. That feeling is not good. Fan Hongda reminded him. His worry was unnecessary. The corridor was very wide. It was impossible for them to fall down, right? Unless someone threw them out, they wouldn't fall down no matter what. How stupid would that person be to fall down like that? Demon god Swote could not help but interject. He felt that Fan Hongda's words were too nonsensical. Fan Hongda frowned but did not refute. There was nothing much to say to him. Saying too much would be a waste of breath. Yi Tianyun's eyes narrowed as he thought of something. In the next moment, he immediately exchanged for a bad luck god pill in the shop. He placed it in his finger and flicked it. Shio, it entered demon god Swote's body. The demon god Soter felt something bouncing in. He subconsciously looked at Yi Tianyun, but the latter's expression was calm, as if nothing had happened. He sized up Yi Tianyun suspiciously. It was impossible to attack him in this place. If he did so, he would be breaking the rules. If that happened, he would definitely be punished and chased out of this place. When he turned around, Yi Tianyun revealed a devilish smile. Bad luck divine pill, activate. Bad luck divine pill's effect activated, lasts for 5 minutes. In the next moment, as demon god Soter was walking, a heavenly fire suddenly rolled out from the side and bound his feet. Immediately after, a thick layer of ice formed around his feet. At the same time, the flames continued to spread. Demon god Soth was so frightened that he immediately used his power to shatter the ice. At the same time, he quickly dodged to the side. However, just as he was about to dodge to the side, his feet suddenly slipped, and he rolled out along the walkway. Since he couldn't fly, and the speed at which he rolled out was too fast, he rolled directly into the pile of heavenly flames on the side of the walkway. This scene stunned Fan Hongda. He had walked here many times, but he had never seen such a situation. The heavenly fire at the side would take the initiative to attack people? How could he not know about this? The heavenly fire at the side was mostly used to store energy to maintain the ancient Ming divine pagoda. Therefore, it didn't have any attack effect. Who knew that when it was demon god Soter's turn, it would attack people? The key point was, why did demon god Soter roll inside? What was going on? After Fan Hongda saw clearly, he realized that the ground had been frozen by the heavenly fire. It should have been when demon god Soter was being bound by the heavenly fire. When demon god Soter struggled, he neglected the situation under his feet, causing his feet to slip. After demon god Soter fell in, he was immediately burned by the heavenly fire. A thick layer of ice covered his body, trying to completely freeze him here. However, demon god Soter was not an ordinary cultivator. As a god king expert, it was impossible for him to freeze to death here. Therefore, he forced himself to walk over step by step. Finally, he grabbed the walkway and climbed up. His whole body was frozen, and it looked terrible. Even a god king expert would suffer different kinds of injuries after being frozen by the heavenly fire for a while. Hey, I don't know who said that unless one is an idiot, it is impossible to fall down here. If that's the case, aren't you an idiot? Tianyun laughed. You lowly human, what are you talking about? Demon God Soter stood up. He was in a sorry state. Nothing, it's just that you said it yourself. Did you forget? Tianyun sneered and continued to walk forward. Fan Hongda followed him with a strange expression. But in his heart, he was very happy. He wished that Demon God Soter would die here. Of course, things did not end so easily. Demon God Soter continued to fall, falling several times. In just 5 minutes, he was almost half crippled. What's going on with this Demon God Soter? Why does he keep falling? Why are we fine? Fan Hongda asked. Bad luck, that's all. Tianyun smiled. Luck is also a kind of strength. Clearly, he doesn't have that kind of strength. Fan Hongda nodded his head in agreement. Demon God Soter fell to this state. He had no choice but to believe it. After that, they didn't bother with Demon God Soth and continued walking forward. They walked out of the passageway uneventfully. Following that, another stone tablet came into view. However, this stone tablet had 2 large words carved on it, My heart. My heart? Tianyun looked at the stone tablet and asked, Is this trial a test of perception? Yes. Fan Hongda nodded and said, This place tests one's comprehension. Only by comprehending the things inside can one pass this stage. Basically, all the stages of comprehension were tested. For these seniors, they only cared about these few points when choosing their inheritors. Back and forth, it was all about the time of the test, no matter how many changes there were. Choosing a successor would definitely require someone with good talent, good comprehension, and a strong temperament. Otherwise, if one chose someone too weak, it would not be of any benefit to one's successor. Just as they were about to sit down to meditate, Demon God Soter ran over in a sorry state. In just a few minutes he felt like he was going to be crippled. Chapter 829. Demon God Swot meditated the moment he came in. Other than being lazy to listen to Tianyun and the rest, his main purpose was to recover from his injuries. There was no conflict between comprehension and recovery. They had been here many times, so they knew what to do. To comprehend here, you have to at least comprehend until it emits a faint blue light to be considered to have passed. If you are below this level, it means you have failed. There is a time limit. Look at the flame at the side. If it is extinguished, it means the time is up. Based on past experience, this time can last at most 3 days. After 3 days, if there is no reaction, it means you are out. You have just come here, so you are at a slight disadvantage compared to us who have been here before. But I believe it should not be a big problem. Fan Hongda patted his shoulder and gave him some encouragement. The difficulty here was not small, especially to stimulate the light of the stone tablet. They had all been here before, so they knew how to comprehend. As expected, the moment Demon God Swot sat down, the stone tablet immediately reacted. A faint blue light appeared, which meant that he had been here more than once to comprehend. Seeing Demon God Swot comprehending so easily, Fan Hongda was very unhappy. This was originally something that belonged to them, but Demon God Swot comprehended it. How could he not be angry? Don't look at me like that. It is too easy to comprehend something like this. To us, these so-called comprehensions are just a pile of trash. Any random martial art would be much better than what you have here. What you view as a treasure is just a pile of trash to us. If it was not to become the Tower Master, do you think we would comprehend this trash? Have you seen us use your martial arts? From the very beginning, we will never cultivate your martial arts. It's not interesting at all. Demon God Swot slowly opened his eyes and spoke while mocking them. But even though he was distracted to speak, the comprehension effect did not decrease. As it continued to rise, the faint blue light became deeper and deeper. He had already passed. He was not lying, he was really expressing his disdain for the martial arts here. When Tianyun killed them, he obtained those martial arts. They were indeed not bad, they were at least high-grade heaven-class martial arts, which was a very shocking level. However, he was wrong about one thing. It wasn't that the martial arts here didn't catch their eye, but that they couldn't cultivate them at all. Their original situation was different, and if they were to cultivate, they might even explode. Is that so? That doesn't mean you'll be acknowledged, right? Tianyun retorted from the side. If you have the ability, then get the approval of this stage. Don't talk about these useless things. No matter how trashy you are, you won't be able to obtain recognition. This proves that you can't even comprehend trashy, and you still dare to call me trashy? Tianyun pointed at the flame brand on his forehead and retorted. Demon God Sother's face darkened. He wanted to beat them up a little, but he didn't expect Tianyun to tell him the truth. What powerful comprehension! He hadn't even succeeded yet. What kind of bragging was that? Maybe there's no such thing as a brand here. You're thinking too much. Demon God Sother said coldly. I can basically comprehend it. If I can't even do that, it means there's no such thing here. Fan Hongda didn't retort. He had tried many times, and even lit up all the stone steels, but he didn't see any that could obtain recognition. The entire huge stone steel was lit up, but he still didn't obtain this bit of recognition. Is that so? I don't think so. Tianyun sat in meditation. He felt the mark on his forehead. There is a feeling of excitement, indicating that it wants to get more flame mark. The stone tablet in front of him clearly gave him such a feeling. This meant that there was definitely a flame brand inside this stone steel. The moment he sat down, the stone steel in front of him released a dazzling light. With a buzz, the entire stone steel trembled, and the blue light enveloped the entire stone steel. He had just sat down. How could he obtain such an effect? Fan Hongda and Demon God Sother were stunned. Was this really not his first time here? How could he obtain such an effect just after he sat down? This wasn't the end. The stone steel that was originally emitting light gradually turned from blue to dark blue, and then to purple. This was an unprecedented color, a color that had never appeared before. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the entire ancient Ming Divine Pagoda was shaking. The cultivators inside were shocked by the tremors, and they all looked up at the sky. Although there was nothing in the sky, they could feel that the tremors were coming from above. As the tremors continued, everyone felt that the sky was about to change. They had never experienced such tremors before. All of them stopped what they were doing, and even those who were competing stopped. This was unprecedented, and they didn't know what was going on. Little did they know that this was caused by Tianyun. Under his comprehension, the entire stone steel shook, and the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda was affected. The power that Fan Hongda and Demon God Sother were comprehending was instantly covered by Tianyun's power, and it was replaced by Tianyun's domineering purple light. After rushing into the sky, Tianyun suddenly opened his eyes. Buzz! A cold light shot out and he was bounced up. He floated in the air and said in a deep voice, "My heart is the way." The 4 words "my heart is the way" spun in the air once, and they were imprinted on the stone steel. Below the original 2 words "my heart," there were 2 more big words. They were for the way. They were dumbfounded. He could even embed words on the stone steel. What was going on? Shortly after, Tianyun slowly floated down from the sky. Following that, a ray of light shrouded down from the sky, and the flame mark on his forehead deepened. He felt as though he had gained more power. Phew! Tianyun took a deep breath. He already knew what he had to do when he came here. It was not wrong to let them comprehend, but more importantly, he had to find some kind of power to fill in the blank. He had an incomparably firm Tao heart. Therefore, he mobilized his Tao heart to fill in the blanks, and from there, he could draw out the true power. They had been comprehending the 2 words "my heart" all this time, and had never thought of filling in the blank. Did they think they could succeed just like that? That was simply bullsh*t. Who was the one who said that there was no flame mark here? Who was the one who said that this place was trash? Tianyun looked coldly at demon god Sother. Those who said such things are really worse than trash now. Chapter 830. Demon god Sutha's face turned green and white as he was scolded. From the moment he entered the Tower Master Assessment, he had been slapped in the face and scolded until now. Most importantly, he couldn't refute it at all. It was a complete slap in the face. What Tianyun said was the truth, and what he said was extremely arrogant, but in the end, his face was still slapped swollen. Kid, the more arrogant you are now, the more miserable your death will be. Demon god Suth gritted his teeth and said, I'm arrogant? Tianyun looked at him and said with a faint smile, It seems like I don't know who was the one who talked big from the beginning, saying that someone is stupid, but in the end, you are the one who spoke too arrogantly and got slapped in the face by me, and now you say that I'm arrogant? Of course, when the time comes, I really don't know who will die more miserably. If he could fight, he would have already fought with demon god Suth instead of staying here. Good. Just you wait, you will know soon. Demon god Suth lifted his foot and walked forward. There was already a passage in front of him, which meant that they could move forward. Brother E, if you provoke him like this? Fan Hongda's eyes were filled with worry. The other party was a god king. If they really fought, it would be terrible. In other words, if I don't provoke him, he won't do anything to me, Tianyun said indifferently. Even if I can't deal with him, I can't lose to him in terms of momentum. King Fan, it seems that you have been outside for too long, your momentum is a bit weak. Fan Hongda fell silent. He was much more restrained than before. If he didn't restrain himself, he would definitely attract a fatal disaster. He sighed deeply. Different people had different ways to deal with things. He mainly focused on the path of moderation, so he didn't dare to show off too much. After all, it was better to keep a low profile. Tianyun didn't think so. Keeping a low profile was a good thing, but some people had already come knocking on his door. If he didn't fight back, he was afraid that he would be bullied more and more. Immediately, they quickly followed. There was also a long corridor here, and there were still many heavenly fire on the side. It was no different from the previous path. This time, demon god Soth ran extremely fast. He ran forward as fast as he could, wanting to get out of this place as quickly as possible. He felt that this place was too strange, and he didn't want to experience the same situation as before. Thus, he ran as fast as he could. Tianyun watched him run away and shook his head helplessly. He had wanted to continue playing this trick, but he didn't expect him to run too fast. After following them out, what came into view was an empty space. There was nothing in front of them. Shortly after, an illusory figure condensed in the air. It was a young man floating in the air. This person was not a living being. He was the phantom left behind by the ancient Ming Divine King when he left, the phantom that controlled the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda. Congratulations on reaching the final stage. Because there are too many people, one person needs to be eliminated. Phantom pointed at Fan Hongda and Demon God Soth and said, You two fight. Whoever loses will be eliminated, whoever wins will continue. I've finally arrived at this stage. I'll start by getting rid of you. Demon God Soth looked coldly at Fan Hongda and said, The king of heavenly netherworld divine nation wanted to eat you before, but you used your special power to avoid him. Now how can you hide? The descendants of the ancient underworld god kings had always been their target. Fan Hongda's bloodline was so pure, how could they miss it? Therefore, when they found Fan Hongda, they wanted to devour him. However, Fan Hongda's situation was special, so they couldn't devour him. If they let him play around outside, it would have a great impact. In the end, they could only reluctantly throw him into the heavenly lightning area and kill him. Now it was different. They had to fight forcefully. Demon God Soth would definitely have a chance to stop Fan Hongda before he could escape. Fan Hongda's face darkened. What he was worried about had finally happened. His cultivation was not weak, but facing a divine king expert, he could only be abused. At this time, Tianyun put something in his hand and said, "Hurry up and choose to escape. Leave the rest to me." After Fan Hongda received the thing, Fan Hongda was slightly startled. He nodded and didn't say anything. After Fan Hongda put away the thing, Tianyun looked at Phantom and said, "That guy is from the evil spirit race. Aren't you going to punish him?" Phantom's eyes immediately locked on Demon God Soth. After looking back and forth, she said, "Because he has the bloodline of the ancient Ming Divine King, he is not allowed to be punished." This was not unexpected. If he could be punished, he would have been punished long ago. As long as he had the bloodline of the ancient Ming Divine King, he would be immediately ineffective. "Ha ha, idiot, do you think this will work?" Demon God Soth said coldly. "After I get rid of this guy, I'll deal with you. Hurry up and start, I can't wait anymore." Phantom looked at the two of them and asked, "Are you two ready?" "Didn't I just say, I'm ready?" Demon God Soth said impatiently. "I'm ready." Fan Hongda nodded. "Then get ready to fight. If you escape from the range, you will be eliminated. Admitting defeat in the middle is not considered a loss. You must escape to be considered a loss." Phantom released a thick shield, covering them. The shield was about 1,000 zhang wide. It was not very wide. The problem was that, if the opponent was very strong, they would not be able to escape. After everything was prepared, Phantom said, "Then let the competition officially begin." With that order, Demon God Soth's God King's second layer power immediately burst out. A terrible power soared up to the sky. Boom! Demon God Soth stomped on the ground, creating a hole. All the anger and humiliation in his heart burst out at this moment. Right now, he wanted to use all his strength to tear Fan Hongda to shreds and swallow him into his stomach. It was that simple. Fan Hongda turned around and ran. He also burst out with extreme speed. He knew that if he tried to be brave, he would die here. As long as there is life, there is hope. Want to run? Impossible. With his full power eruption, Demon God Soth rapidly closed the distance between him and Fan Hongda. His speed was much faster than Fan Hongda's. In the blink of an eye, he arrived before Fan Hongda. The gap between the two was like a chasm. Demon God Soth reached out to grab Fan Hongda. He wanted to press Fan Hongda to the ground. Just when he was about to grab Fan Hongda, a light was released from his body, forming a huge shield. Under this shield, it shot towards Demon God Soth. Demon God Soth ignored it and continued to slap down. But a tyrannical force rebounded. Boom! Demon God Soth's huge body was sent flying. With a bang, the shield was crushed into a pile of energy fragments. But before that, Fan Hongda borrowed a force to quickly rush forward, and in an instant, he rushed out of the area of the competition. The shield that burst out was actually the heaven-devouring divine treasure. Tianyun lent the heaven-devouring divine treasure to Fan Hongda. With the heaven-devouring divine treasure, Fan Hongda could barely withstand the attack of a God King stage expert. This was enough for him to escape. Chapter 831. If you leave the arena, you will be judged to have lost. After Fan Hongda left the arena, the shield disappeared, and at the same time, Fan Hongda was judged to have lost. Everyone knew that if one left the arena, they would be judged to have lost. "Brother E, if it wasn't for your treasure, I would have been dead." Fan Hongda looked at the ground behind him, which had almost caved in. The power of a God King stage cultivator was too strong. Even a peak Saint King stage cultivator would not be able to fight against them. The opponent was too overbearing. If it wasn't for the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda's strong suppressive power, the three realms would have fallen once the demon gods left. There were no godly monarchs in the three realms. In a situation where there were no godly monarchs, A single godly monarch was enough to bathe the three realms in blood. This was not a joke. Anyone below the God-King stage was an ant. This could be changed to any realm. For example, anyone below the Saint-King stage was an ant. This represented the difference in realms. It was difficult to make up for it in terms of numbers. Unless it was a sneak attack, it would be difficult to kill a God-King stage cultivator. It's fine. This thing can withstand it. Tianyun nodded. He had tried it himself. It could barely withstand the attack of a God-King stage cultivator. Especially since Demon God Soter did not use his full strength. Fan Hongda was not crushed in one slap. Demon God Soter did not have the habit of eating meat sauce, so he did not use his full strength. Under such circumstances, the heaven-devouring divine treasure was enough to withstand the attack. Ah! Demon God Soter rushed over angrily and wanted to slap Fan Hongda. However, the two of them were not afraid at all. If they attacked, Demon God Soter would be the first one to be teleported out. This meant that he was not injured at all. Not only would he be eliminated, but he would also be punished. A God-King stage level 2 cultivator was powerful. However, the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda was supported by 3 powerful God-Kings. Even if it could not kill him easily, it could still suppress him. If you have the ability, fight over here. If you hit me first, I lose. Tianyun pointed to his forehead. Humph. Demon God Swot snorted coldly and retracted his fist. He suppressed his anger and said, I didn't expect you to be willing to lend this treasure to him. Aren't you humans greedy and selfish? Don't worry. You're not referring to the majority of the human race. It's just a small portion. Tianyun sneered. Fan Hongda returned the heaven-devouring divine artifact to Tianyun, nodded and said, Brother be careful. Although you are not godly king ancient underworld's man, I hope you can become the Tower Master. As soon as he finished speaking, he was teleported out. If he lost, he would definitely be teleported out. Now that there were only 2 people left, what kind of test would they have to face? This was the last test. Become a Tower Master? Demon God Sotek sneered. Do you know what the final trial is? Let me tell you, the last stage is to climb the tower. In the process of climbing the tower, they could interfere with each other, which was no different from a competition. I will make sure that you won't even be able to take a step forward and die on the road. Climb the tower? Tianyun squinted at Phantom. Phantom said, That's right, the last stage is to climb the tower. The remaining 2 will climb the tower and reach the 9th floor. You can interfere with each other along the way, and whoever reaches the top first will be the final winner. Climbing to the 9th floor makes me a Tower Master? Is it that simple? Tianyun frowned at Demon God Sotek, feeling a little strange. If it was that simple, we would have become Tower Masters long ago, idiot. Demon God Swot sneered. So what if you climb to the top? Without bloodline power, everything is for naught. Of course, I'm not here to climb the tower, I'm here to make you feel fear. Your talent is not bad, your flesh must be delicious. Is that so? Then let's see who eats who. Tianyun looked at him indifferently. Phantom raised her hand, and a spacious winding staircase appeared in front of them. This was the staircase that led to the top of the tower. As long as one climbed it, it was possible to become a Tower Master. No wonder there was no staircase on the 8th floor. The real staircase was here. Tianyun believed that it was not that simple. Just as Fan Hongda had said, to become a Tower Master, one must have a pure bloodline. Otherwise, Demon God Sotek and the others would have become Tower Masters long ago. At the same time, they would need other things to become Tower Masters. For example, the flame mark on Tianyun's forehead was obviously a symbol. At the same time, the whole ancient underworld divine pagoda shook. This made the cultivators, who thought that everything had returned to normal, stop to observe the situation again. Immediately, A shadow appeared in the sky of every floor. It could even be said that the sky had turned into a picture. In this picture, Tianyun and demon god Sotek were standing together. When they saw this, they said in surprise, "Isn't this the human from before? What's going on? Why does he look so disgusting? He has 8 arms, and his aura is not simple. Yes, what race is that? Why haven't I seen it before? What did you say? Apologize for us." Apologize for what? Are you from the same race as that 8-clawed monster? When those who had seen it before and those who had not seen it before saw this scene, they started discussing it. For many of them, this was the first time they had seen this race. Some had seen it before, but they did not know what race it was. Others knew it but did not care about their disgusting behavior. Chapter 832. After Swote defeats Tianyun, he won't be able to replace the flame mark. He'll just be a hindrance. To put it bluntly, he'll just increase the difficulty a bit. Not only will he increase the difficulty a bit, but he'll also let everyone watch him until he loses or successfully reaches the top. What's going on? You mean everyone is watching us? Swote frowned. Yes, the Phantom said indifferently. Her attitude towards Swote and Tianyun is completely different. She treats Tianyun like a master and treats Swote like a passerby. He doesn't even have a flame mark on his forehead, which means he doesn't even have the qualifications. What's there to be respectful about? Hurry up and stop! Demon God Solder roared angrily. He doesn't want everyone to see his situation, especially those who don't know what's going on here. I won't stop. I have to let everyone know if you'll become the Tower Master or not, the Phantom said. But this didn't happen when we came here. Swote is about to go crazy. Because you didn't have the qualifications to become the Tower Master, so this didn't happen, the Phantom replied. Damn it! Swote is so angry that he wants to kill someone, but he can't do anything to the Phantom. He can't kill it no matter what. He can only watch. Is everyone watching the situation over here? Tianyun's eyes lit up. He immediately took out the crystal and crushed it. Soon, the scene recorded on the 7th floor appeared in front of him. The 7th floor is like a purgatory. The evil spirit race's true body is crazily devouring all kinds of corpses. Some are even soaking in blood. He originally wanted to find a time to let them know. But now, he can let everyone know about the evil spirit race's crimes. He can let them know that there's such a race. Soon, the scene is seen by all the cultivators on the 7th floor. After seeing it, they're all shocked. They're dumbfounded. Devouring corpses should be the job of demons, but the ones in front of them are another race. Some look similar to humans, but they have 4 arms on their back. This race is called the evil spirit race. They specialize in devouring the cultivators of our 3 realms. They invaded from the outside world. They want to rule over the 3 realms and devour all of us. Not only do they want to devour all the races in the 3 realms, but they also want to enslave all life. There are many cultivators here who are in cahoots with them. They are traitors of the 3 realms. This is simply taking the side of the evildoers and making it easier for them to devour our 3 realms. Their characteristics are very obvious. They have many arms and their bodies are pitch black. If you find him, don't be lenient. If you don't kill him, they'll eat you. Tianyun explained from the side. His voice quickly spread to every region. When they heard this, they were all stunned. After all, most people did not know that there was still an evil spirit race in this world that wanted to devour and enslave the 3 realms. Although the 3 realms had always been filled with intrigue and war, however, if a race from the outside world wanted to devour the 3 realms and enslave all life, that was absolutely not allowed. This was equivalent to a bunch of demonic beasts, which had always been resistant. Although the cultivators of the 3 realms schemed against each other, at least they would not eat people. This is too disgusting. How dare they say such big words and want to devour our people? I remember now. A long time ago there was such a situation outside. My friends disappeared one by one. When they were discovered, only a pile of bones was left. When my friends fought with these guys, they would even devour them. It was really disgusting. We must exterminate them and chase them out of the 3 realms. All of them thought of all sorts of things. Many of them were related to the evil spirit race, especially when they saw that disgusting scene. All of them were eating the corpses of their companions. Some of them were even people they knew. They felt disgusted and even angrier when they saw them. If the corpses were so delicious to eat, then living beings would definitely eat even more happily. They had always thought that the corpses would be burned to ashes. Who knew that the corpses would be eaten by them? As elders, Demon God Soter and the others could naturally set the rules here. That was why they moved the corpses to the 7th floor instead of being burned to ashes. All of them were enraged, and some even looked at the cultivators at the side. After all, they had seen some of the cultivators who had a few arms, and it was obvious that they were from the evil spirit race. Although some cultivators could have a few more arms, they were still relatively rare. I don't know about the evil spirit race, don't look at me. I'm not from the evil spirit race either, don't wrongly accuse me. One by one, the cultivators shouted that they were innocent, saying that they were not from the evil spirit race. They are from the evil spirit race. I can feel the disgusting bloodline flowing in their bodies. At this time, Fan Shuechuan and the others stood out. What proof do you have? The evil spirit race immediately retorted. We are the descendants of the ancient underworld god king. Are we qualified? You stole our place. Even if you turn into ashes, we will still recognize you. Fan Shuechuan and the others all lifted their black robes, revealing the conspicuous mark on their forehead. This time, they were not afraid of being exposed. Yi Tianyun had already told them everything, so they planned to find the trash evil spirit race. The descendants of the ancient underworld god king? One by one, the cultivators were stunned. This was their territory, so their credibility immediately increased. At this time, all of them immediately marked each other and prepared to take turns to challenge them, or stare at them. If there was any action, such as a challenge, they would beat them to death. The other levels were the same. The 12 golden hairpins had necklaces that could accurately identify the evil spirit race, so it was easier to find them. They even took the initiative to give out necklaces to let everyone know who the real enemy was. At this time, the entire ancient underworld god pagoda was in chaos. All of them stared at the surrounding cultivators, wondering if they were the evil spirit race. Some of them knew that they were working with the evil spirit race, and when they saw this scene, their hearts trembled. They were actually working with the demons. However, some of them would not repent. They were determined to become the lackeys of the evil spirit race, so it did not matter what they did, as long as they did not devour them. They had always held the mentality that if they were good dogs, they would definitely have meat to eat. Stop right now. Demon God Swot was about to explode. He raised his fist again and again, but in the end, he put it down. He could not continue fighting. Chapter 833. Demon God Sooth was about to explode. Although the entire 3 realms would know, they could not leave now. If everything was exposed, it meant they would not be able to continue obtaining corpses, and no one would continue to fight or join in from the outside. To put it bluntly, they did not even have the most basic food. What could they use to cultivate? What could they use to strengthen their own forces? Good. You've done very well. Can you go up now? Don't waste time here. Demon God Sooth gritted his teeth. He wanted to immediately swallow Yi Tianyun. But if he did not climb up the stairs, he could not attack. Only by climbing up the stairs could he interfere with Yi Tianyun and attack him. Then, Demon God Sooth stood on the stairs and signaled Yi Tianyun to come up. Once he entered the stairs, he would be attacked immediately. This rule was a bit of a scam. It was not at ease to specially set up a disruptor. Originally, ancient underworld deity King's idea was very simple. He wanted the elders to interfere with each other, who knew that none of them would be able to obtain the mark. After they obtained the mark, they all ran to the top. This way, it would be more interesting if they interfered with each other. The elders could not kill each other. At most, they would kick each other backwards. This way, whoever ran up first would become the pagoda master. Now that demon god Suth did not have the mark, he still became a disruptor to affect Tianyun. He could not let him become the pagoda master so easily. If ancient underworld deity King knew about this, he would definitely vomit blood. Instead, he would be harming his own people. Who would have thought that the evil spirit race had the ability to devour bloodlines for their own use? Cultivators' bloodlines were different from divine beasts' bloodlines. They could not be absorbed and used for their own use. The evil spirit race could do this. Demon god Sutha's actions attracted the attention of many evil spirit race. Even though he was surrounded by many cultivators, he still shouted, "Lord Suth, kill that trash! Let everyone know how powerful we are! Yes, let them know how powerful we are! If they do not surrender obediently, they will die! Kill him, kill him!" One by one, they shouted. Their voices could not reach Tianyun, but they were not willing to give in. They felt that they were invincible, that they were existences that could rule over the three realms, so they looked down upon all life in the three realms from the bottom of their hearts. They were kings who had descended. They shouldn't be holed up in this place. Instead, they should be facing the entire three realms. Especially when faced with the pressure of so many cultivators, they were filled with humiliation. As far as they were concerned, were the lives of the three realms worthy of doing this? Destroy these invaders. Destroy these invaders. That's right. Destroy these invaders. Destroy these pieces of trash. Kid, we all support you. Kill their old ancestor, we all have faith in you. One by one, the cultivators shouted loudly. Their voices easily covered the shouts of the evil spirit race. In the end, it was still the cultivators who had the most people. Their aura was stronger, and they easily suppressed them. Unfortunately, these shouts couldn't reach Tianyun. But that wasn't the point. Tianyun looked at demon god Swot, who was blocking the door, and walked forward step by step. He looked him up and down and smiled. "Seems like you are very confident? Kid, don't think that I don't know what you are planning. You were able to kill demon god Mi-go mainly because of that treasure and demon god Mi-ji's stupidity. He was too careless. I am different from that piece of trash. You are too naive if you want to kill me." Boom! A figure slammed into demon god Swot at lightning speed, sending him flying and crashing into the wall. Under this heavy impact, his entire body caved in, and the terrifying power almost penetrated him. Although it did not penetrate him, many of his bones were shattered. Splat! Demon god Swot spat out a mouthful of blood. The terrifying impact had directly injured his powerful body. More importantly, his chest was gradually becoming desertified, and it was constantly eroding into his body. "Your luck is really bad. Your first move was a critical hit," Tianyun's ghostly voice sounded in his ear. When demon god Swot wanted to resist, another heavy punch came crashing down. Boom, boom, boom. Buzz. Tianyun's fists flickered with dazzling light. Some were not so bright, while others flickered with astonishing light. Every punch was enough to destroy heaven and earth. 89 billion battle power. 110 billion battle power. 110 billion battle power. 89 billion battle power. 110 billion battle power. The fluctuation of battle power was quite strong, mainly because after the critical hit effect appeared, it suddenly increased by tens of billions of battle power. If he couldn't hit it, he would return to normal battle power, so the fluctuation was quite big. But every punch made demon god Swot unable to fight back. The power of every punch was so heaven-defying. His body was not penetrated, but the situation looked quite serious. It was basically no different from being penetrated, and there were many dents on his body. Scram! Demon God Swoat roared. His 8 arms fiercely attacked. At the same time, ancient Ming divine power was attached to his body, greatly increasing his power. At the same time, his injuries quickly recovered. The ancient Ming bloodline was just that powerful. Sky-shaking divine art. Etienne's body seemed to have turned into an extreme iron block, fiercely smashing over, turning into a trillion-gene mountain. Combined with the terrifying desolate ancient set, his power burst out. Crack, crack, the 8 arms that came to grab him were broken by Etienne, and even Demon God Swoat was sent flying. Humph, Demon God Swoat groaned. His body has already been smashed into meat paste, and in less than a moment, his huge body became a bloody mess. His originally hard body was also smashed, and all his bones were broken. A dignified demon god was completely oppressed by Etienne. Even if he fought back, it was useless. Everyone outside was dumbfounded. They had never seen such a brutal way of fighting. Every punch could destroy the heavens and the earth. Especially the last collision, they felt that if they hit a mountain, that mountain would be smashed into powder. Those who were shouting that the old ancestor will win are now speechless. The god in their hearts was destroyed like this. Chapter 834. The sky-trembling godly art is really useful. My strength has increased tremendously. If this wasn't the ancient Ming divine pagoda, I would have smashed through it long ago. Etienne twisted his body. This was the body-tempering art that he had drawn previously. It could greatly increase his weight and strength. If his body weight increased, then his punches would basically reach that terrifying value. Combined with other equipment, it was enough to defeat a God-King expert. He didn't want to be so violent, but with so many people watching, he had to perform well. Only then could he intimidate them and let them know that he was strong enough. If he could make a name for himself, then the situation in the underworld would be easier to unify. I want you to die! Demon God Swoat roared, and the evil spirit bloodline in his body burst out. His body began to swell up, becoming bigger and bigger. His arms also became many times thicker. His body, which had been a bloody mess, started to heal rapidly. The terrifying healing effect was much stronger than that of ordinary cultivators. In the blink of an eye, he had recovered a lot. More importantly, with the support of the ancient Ming divine pagoda, his recovery speed was greatly increased. Boom! Etienne rushed over and pressed his small body against the ground. Then, he stepped on Demon God Soto's body and looked at him coldly. You want me to die? Then show me how you can move first. Demon God Soto wanted to get up and sent Etienne, who was standing on his chest, flying. Then, he realized that he couldn't get up at all. He was completely pressed against the ground and couldn't move at all. This made him feel that it wasn't a small human that was pressing down on him, but a terrifying mountain. It could even be called the ancient Ming divine pagoda. Get lost! Demon God Soto roared. He slapped Etienne's body with the back of his hand, trying to send him flying. Etienne stretched out his hand and punched forward, and with a bang, the arm exploded and turned into a mist of blood. Ah! The terrifying effect of the punch caused him immense pain. He felt that this punch was much stronger than before. Combined with the heaven-shaking divine art, each of his punches contained a force of 1,000,000,000 gene. Compared to before, it was a qualitative leap. The advantage of his terrifying weight was that he didn't need to use any strength. Just his weight alone was enough to crush a person. Now, Demon God Swoat was being ruthlessly stepped on. His body caved in. Continue. Etienne gestured for him to continue resisting. With a wave of his hand, a low-grade god artifact appeared in his hand, and he slashed towards Etienne. A sound was heard, and the power of breaking through the air rushed over to this side. It was mixed with the terrifying heavenly fire, and it froze everything. Tianyun waved his hand and the evil spirit divine's sword appeared in his hand. With a backhand swing, he slashed out with it. Clang! The weapon in demon god Soth's hand was sent flying. The terrifying rebounding force even broke his arm. Even though it looked like a casual swing, it still contained terrifying power. You really have a lot of hands. Tianyun coldly snorted. He lifted his foot and stepped on demon god Soth's shoulder. Pucci demon god Soth's shoulder was trampled into meat paste. Even his arm was completely broken when he stepped on it. This foot is for those who were devoured by you. Tianyun coldly snorted. Oh! Demon god Soth screamed miserably. The intense pain made him feel very uncomfortable. Even if his recovery ability is shocking, he can't recover his broken arm in a short period of time. However, his eyes are still red. He glared at Tianyun and shouted, I will kill you. Come. Tianyun stepped on another shoulder. Pucci demon god Soth's shoulder was trampled into meat paste again. The terrifying power caused everyone to tremble in fear. They tried to imagine what it would feel like if someone stepped on their shoulder. They felt pain just by looking at it, not to mention being stepped on. The evil spirit race is very cruel, right? Tianyun is more brutal than them. He mercilessly abused them. This foot is for those who are living in our place. You want to devour our 3 realms and enslave us, right? Let me see how you will enslave us. No matter how many of you come, I will trample them all under my feet. Tianyun coldly looked at him. He never showed mercy to his enemies. Well done. Kill him, kill him. The cultivators who were watching from the outside all shouted one after another. This scene made them feel very relieved. Most of them clearly saw their companions inside the images. They didn't even let their corpses go. How could they not hate him? Even though people often died in the 3 realms, they rarely whipped corpses. Unless that person did it very disgustingly, no one would whip a corpse. They looked like humans, but they were constantly devoured. Regardless of whether they were alive or dead, they were all devoured. Especially when they thought about how they had always been ruling. No wonder the position of floor master had never changed. They had always been ruling here. And these cultivators were treated as food, being eaten bit by them. The evil spirit race were all silent. Seeing their ancestor being abused to such a state, they immediately felt extremely powerless. They simply could not believe that their ancestor would be completely crushed without even having the strength to resist. Previously, they were a cut above the rest, but now they were completely defeated. What ancestor? What expert? They were all trash in front of Tianyun. Tianyun still did not hear any shouts, but his system received a lot of news, and it kept popping up crazily. Ding! Congratulations to player Tianyun for successfully obtaining the title Reaper. Reaper, the representative of the 3 realms. When fighting with outsiders, the damage will be doubled. The conditions for obtaining it are: the king chosen by the support of over 500,000 people to fight against the outsiders. Double the damage. Of course, it wouldn't be stacked on top of the final damage, but it would be accumulated normally. For example, the crazy damage mode was 32 times, adding this would be 34 times. It was the same for the Ancient Desolate set. Whether it was 3 times or 5 times, it was all accumulated. If it was directly multiplied, it would be terrifying. Not to mention Demon God Swote, even if his father came personally, he would not be afraid. Reaper, huh? I like it. Tianyun's lips curled into a satisfied smile. Kill me. Demon God Swote coldly looked at him and said, I underestimated your strength, but don't be too happy. We are only the weakest wave. We haven't conquered this place for so long. Soon, our ancestral land will send even more powerful existences to suppress you. The three realms are destined to become our territory, no exceptions. Is that so? Then I will flatten your ancestral land in advance. Don't worry. Yi Tianyun's expression was indifferent. He was not surprised at all. Chapter 835. Raise our ancestral land? Demon God Swoat laughed as if he heard the funniest joke in the world. You're just an ant, yet you dare to be so arrogant? Do you know how strong we are in the ancestors' land? Let me tell you, I'm just an ordinary soldier. We thought that the three realms is trash, so we didn't send any experts here. If we did, you would all be dead. You may be able to kill me, but you won't be able to resist even a finger of our general. Demon God Swoat laughed unscrupulously. Even if he dies, he won't bow his head and surrender. You think it's funny? Yi Tianyun said indifferently. If that's the case, then you can go to the underworld and wait for them. Immediately, he stomped on Demon God Swoat's chest, and with a bang, Demon God Swoat's body was torn apart. Then, Yi Tianyun kicked Demon God Swoat's body, and with a bang, Demon God Swoat's body was torn apart. Ding successfully killed Demon God Swoat. Reward: 1 billion EXP, 300,000 crazy point, 100,000 SBS. Reward: Evil Spirit Bloodline, Evil Spirit Bone, Evil Spirit Soul. Evil Spirit Divine Sword, Low-Grade Divine Tool. Evil Spirit Ring, Low-Grade Divine Tool. Evil Spirit Shield, Low-Grade Divine Tool. God's Star Plate, Rare. After killing Demon God Swoat, Yi Tianyun also looted his storage ring. Demon God Swoat's storage ring is quite big, just the appearance alone is completely different from the ones here. After killing Demon God Migo, his corpse quickly disappeared. Clearly, it had been moved away by the two godly monarchs. Now that Demon God Swoat's body is here, Yi Tianyun can't move it away, so he quickly looted it. The harvest is not small. If I have more EXP card, I can use it. Yi Tianyun shook his head. He didn't buy EXP card in the shop. Demon God Swoat alone isn't worth it. After all, there is still Demon God Swoat and all the evil spirit race in the ancient Ming Spirit Pagoda. He doesn't have a lot of crazy point right now. Every time he kills, he gets hundreds of thousands of crazy point, but in fact, it's just a small part of it. Most of them cost tens of thousands of crazy points. One must know that 100 times EXP card requires millions of crazy points, so there is no way to use it on a single person. Although it was a little painful, he had no other choice but to use the most basic EXP mode. After killing Demon God Soder, everyone in the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda was in jubilation. At least they had killed a powerful existence. However, the evil spirit race S were still unwilling to admit defeat and started to refute. Our ancestor is just an ordinary being. When the experts from our ancestors' land come to support you, you'll be dead. That's right, you bunch of trash. At that time, the three realms will still be ours, and killing our Lord Soder will be useless. They were all stubborn ducks, unwilling to admit that they had lost. However, they weren't wrong. They all had their own confidence. The pagoda master said that no matter how many of you come, you will die. Even if we die, we won't let you have your way. That's right. If you want to fight, fight now. If you have the ability, then fight with us now. What are you talking about? They began to quarrel with each other, wanting the evil spirit race to fight on the battle stage. But the evil spirit race was not a fool, so they would really fight. However, some of them were really enraged, and they all went to the battle stage to fight with the cultivators. The 12 golden hairpins rushed up without hesitation and started a crazy hunt. The descendants of the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda also did the same. They all took the lead to kill the trash that occupied their homeland. The ancient Ming Divine Pagoda was now several times more lively than before, mainly because of the great change in the camp. Most of the people were united. It can be said that they were unprecedentedly united. Before, they were opponents, but now they are teammates. This change is really amazing. because after they saw the scene, they knew that if they don't resist, not only will they die in the future, but also their loved ones. Even if it's not their loved ones, the three realms hope to fall into the hands of the evil spirit race. After killing demon god Soter, Tianyun no longer had any obstacles. He began to run all the way up to the top of the pagoda. There were many difficulties along the way, such as the amazing gravity, all kinds of lightning, and the 5 elemental spiritual power attacks. Actually, these were not very useful. It was fine for those with low cultivation, but for Tianyun, unless the ancient Ming godly king personally attacked him or used all the power of the ancient Ming divine pagoda to attack him, he would not feel the slightest bit of pressure. Otherwise, there would be no pressure at all, and they would be able to easily reach the top. As he ran all the way, he got closer and closer to the finish line. Hundreds of thousands of eyes were staring at him, watching as Tianyun reached the top. They believed that Tianyun would become the pagoda master that he had been for so many years. The ancient Ming divine pagoda master had been vacant for too long, and many people wanted to become the pagoda master. Usually, they would be a little unwilling if they did not become the pagoda master, but now they all felt excited. The pagoda master title was deserved, and they all supported Tianyun to become the pagoda master. If he had not killed his way up, who would have known that the ancient Ming divine pagoda had such a disgusting side? I'm almost there. Tianyun's eyes flashed, and he quickly sped up, turning into a ray of light and rushing forward. After passing through a light screen, a ray of light quickly shrouded him and wrapped him up. A beam of blue light descended, and branded an incomparably distinct flame mark between his eyebrows. This was the mark of the heavenly Een fire, which meant that he could successfully control the heavenly Een fire. Congratulations, you have successfully reached the 9th level. Because you have passed the test and successfully obtained the heavenly Een fire. Since you can become the pagoda master of the ancient Ming divine pagoda, you will have most of the authority to control the ancient Ming divine pagoda. The detailed authority is in this memory. This includes the inherited martial arts of the ancient Ming godly king, as well as the ways to use the various areas of the ancient Ming divine pagoda. Then, a ray of light shrouded him, which meant that the memories flowed into his brain. All kinds of inherited martial arts and the control methods of the ancient Ming divine pagoda belonged to him. Now, he had become the master of the ancient Ming divine pagoda. Although he could not move it, he could control most of the areas, which would definitely be enough to punish the evil spirit race. I have finally become the pagoda master. Tianyun felt that it was very magical. He originally wanted to join hands with the descendants of the ancient Ming, but now he had become the pagoda master. Would the descendants of the ancient Ming recognize him? When this scene spread to every corner of the area, everyone was excited, and Fan Shueishuan and the others were stunned. Big brother, he has really become the pagoda master. He is not the descendant of the ancient Ming divine king, but he can become the pagoda master. This is too strange. Chapter 836. Tianyun becoming the pagoda master attracted waves of cheers, causing the hearts of many evil spirit races to tremble. If the ancient Ming divine pagoda had a master, where would they find shelter? This meant that Tianyun could punish whoever he wanted. There was no problem at all. Although being a tower master didn't mean that he could punish everyone, he definitely had the greatest power. As the tower master, he could only punish one person. Once a week, he could use the power of the ancient Ming divine pagoda to carry out punishment. This meant that he could use the power of the ancient Ming divine pagoda to carry out suppression. However, punishment and judgment were two different things. Punishment was a direct execution, and all the power of the ancient Ming divine pagoda would be mobilized. Judgment could only be done by Tianyun himself, but the number would be astonishing. There was no number. That's right, no matter the level of the trial, as long as they didn't like someone, they could directly go up and beat them to death. If he escaped, he could still continue the trial. He had no right to refuse. It seemed that it was better to punish him directly, but the ancient underworld godly king preferred to use his strength to convince others. Mobilizing the power of the ancient underworld divine pagoda wasn't considered one's own ability. One had to use one's own ability to kill traitors or invaders. For this reason, there was only one chance to sanction once a week. In fact, this was already considered quite domineering. The pagoda master was not the true owner of the ancient underworld divine pagoda, so he could not control all kinds of powers. Unless the ancient underworld godly king personally descended, there was really no way to punish them. If ancient underworld godly king was here, he could use his power to kill whoever he wanted. Is this the authority of a tower master? It is much stronger than that of an elder. Etienne's eyes flickered. Perhaps it wasn't as heaven-defying as he had imagined. He had originally thought that the pagoda master could deal with anyone in the ancient Ming divine pagoda at will, and this was true. The problem was that he could only rely on his own fists to deal with them. This was basically enough. Killing those beasts was just a matter of a few seconds. This was not a big problem. As long as he was given this authority, he could sweep through the entire ancient underworld divine pagoda in one day. Soon after, the scene disappeared and the sky returned to its original state. Everything had come to an end. After all, everyone was familiar with Etienne. Hence, their goal had been achieved. This was equivalent to a form of advertisement. After reaching the 9th floor, the environment here was a huge palace. The decorations inside were very luxurious, and the density of the spiritual power was even more astonishing. There were 3 great treasure vaults here: the armory, the elixir, and the material vault. He looked through them one by one. There were quite a lot of treasures. These were the treasures left behind by the previous tower master and godly king Gu Ming. There were quite a few god artifacts and high-grade medicinal pills inside. It was a huge fortune. However, he merely glanced at it and ignored it. Although he had become the Tower Lord, he was still technically a descendant of the ancient Ming, so it was best not to touch him. The ancient underworld deity king had saved the 3 realms, so Etienne would not take it for himself. If it was someone else, he would definitely not be polite. He didn't need it, but he could give it to the Heavenly Clouds Empire. However, the treasures inside couldn't be taken away at will. They also needed to rely on the flame mark to exchange for the corresponding treasures. Etienne had just become the Tower Master, so he could take 2 treasures at will. If he wanted more, he would need to exchange for the flame mark. This flame mark required various contributions to exchange for it. Of course, Etienne didn't need to pay attention to it. He just wandered around casually to see if there was any information about the ancient underworld deity king. Soon, Etienne finished walking around. Obviously, there was no information about the ancient underworld deity king here. Well, it's about time to deal with demon god Suagu. Etienne's eyes flashed. How could he miss such a fat sheep? It was time to implement his explosive upgrade plan. The next moment, Etienne disappeared in place. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in the heavenly lightning space. When he appeared here, he didn't encounter any heavenly lightning. As the Tower Master here, he definitely wouldn't be attacked by the heavenly lightning space. Boom! Boom! Bolts of heavenly lightning continuously struck down from afar, ruthlessly smashing onto demon god Suagui's body. Demon god Suagui's body was covered with a thick layer of protection. Clearly, it was condensed from his equipment and his own strength. It was completely able to withstand the terrifying heavenly lightning attacks. Now, he was constantly destroying the god runes of the heavenly lightning space, wanting to break out from this place. From the looks of it, his efficiency wasn't low. A small portion of the space at the side had already started to be destroyed. If this continued, in less than half a month, he would be able to leave this place. Fan Hongda wouldn't be able to last for half a month, but demon god Suago had no problem enduring for half a month. No wonder he was able to survive previously. With their tyrannical defense and treasures, it wasn't a problem for them to withstand it. Now, demon god Suago had a middle-grade god equipment on him. Just by wearing that equipment, the energy released was enough to withstand this terrifying power. "Seems like you're working hard?" Tianyun teased. "It's you." When demon god Suagu turned his head and saw Tianyun floating in the air, his pupils shrank. He said in a deep voice, "You've become the pagoda master?" Only the pagoda master wouldn't be attacked by the heavenly lightning. Especially when flying in this place, one wouldn't be restricted by the space. This represented the noble authority of the pagoda master. "That's right. Your companion is already dead. Now it's your turn." Tianyun smiled faintly. Boom! Demon god Suagu suddenly disappeared from his original position. The concentrated heavenly lightning kept striking down, but he withstood it all. At the same time, with a violent momentum, he instantly appeared in front of Tianyun. His 8 arms were fully extended, and a huge magic staff appeared in his hands. His exclusive weapon was also this magic staff. When he arrived at Tianyun's side, he didn't hesitate and heavily swung his staff down, wanting to smash him into pieces. Without much nonsense, when he knew that Tianyun had become the pagoda master, he only had one thought in his mind, and that was to kill him. "Sanction!" Tianyun stretched out his hand and pointed at him. In an instant, the entire ancient underworld divine pagoda shook. A terrifying power was mobilized, and circles of light immediately appeared in the air. In less than half a breath's time, a huge light pillar shot out and enveloped demon god Suago. He couldn't even dodge, and it easily locked onto his body. Boom! Demon god Suaji's pupils shrank. He could only turn his hand and collide with the light of sanction. However, the light of sanction instantly engulfed him. At the same time, the terrifying light pillar pressed him to the ground and frantically attacked his huge body. "Ah!" Demon god Suago screamed miserably. He wanted to rush out of the attack of the light pillar, but it was useless. The terrifying light pillar firmly pressed on him and rapidly destroyed his body. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.